Chapter 10:18. After that, he spent a few months with the Snow Empress. During that period of time, Wang Feng naturally absorbed the Ice Qilin Lord's million-year external soul bone, the Ice Qilin Wings. With the help of the Ice Qilin Wings, Wang Feng's 6 strange soul bones finally fused. Although their age didn't increase by much, they didn't become true godly equipment. However, they were still complete soul bones. They possessed powerful soul bone fusion skills that could greatly enhance one's strength. A pair of icy-colored wings appeared behind Wang Feng's back. The wings were very sharp, and the feathers made from icicles looked more like killing weapons. They weren't as soft as a feather. The 6 soul bones appeared as a whole on Wang Feng's body. Due to the cleansing of the chaotic divine light, the soul armor was faintly cyan when it was connected. The arms were made from the evil dragon's soul bones. They looked very domineering and stylish. There were even dragon pauldrons on the shoulders. The torso bone of the blood-devouring ice dragon whale, the right leg bone of the 5-headed star dragon, and the left leg bone of the dragon-tooth golden crystal. There was also the black circlet spiritual skull, which was given to him by the system. The torso bone and the left leg bone were formed by Wang Feng using the cauldron of heaven and earth. In the center of the breastplate formed by the torso bone, there was an image of the ice dragon whale at the front, and an image of the blood-devouring dragon beetle at the back. It looked very ferocious. Every piece of soul bone formed a suit of armor of different shapes and sizes, but they all fused together perfectly at this moment. They formed a complete set of soul equipment with the Ice Qilin Wings on his back. His soul power formed circuits that flowed to every part of his body. At this moment, the 6 soul bones appeared and provided Wang Feng with a strong elemental enhancement. The Xianming Blood Dragon sword appeared in his hand. The Xianming armor formed a Xianming Blood Dragon sword as the torso bone was revealed. It floated beside Wang Feng. The Xianming Blood Dragon sword weighed hundreds of thousands of kilograms. It was even stronger than the sword that Wang Feng had used to block the Qian Rinxue and Bibidan's attack. However, it wasn't enough. Wang Feng's eyes turned cold. The god in the crack was evidently stronger than the Qian Rinxue and Bibidan. Even though he had no idea how the gods of the firmament were categorized, he was certain that they were much stronger than the 2 who had just become gods. Under the soul equipment, Wang Feng's current aura was so condensed that it seemed to have substance. His entire body seemed to be emitting a torrential green flame that wanted to burn away all the filth in this world. He had many trump cards. He wanted to beat the god in the crack to the ground with one punch. Golden Lotus. Wang Feng took a deep breath. What was his strongest support ability now? It definitely wasn't the amplification of several tens of times, nor was it the soul equipment, nor was it the blood patterns. Instead, the Golden Lotus soul power rank had increased. The various forms of the Chaos Green Lotus were not that strong right from the start. Instead, it would gradually become stronger as one grew stronger. Now, he was at level 92. After becoming a titled Douluo, her soul power had increased by 9 ranks. What kind of concept was the 9th level? If Wang Feng had been below level 90, the increase of 9 levels wouldn't have been able to compare to the increase of dozens of times. However, it was a different story above level 90. At the same time, it wouldn't be easy to withstand the power of a Class 9 soul. The golden lotus in his palm shattered in an instant. It turned into countless golden light spots and fused into Wang Feng's body. The increase in soul power of the golden lotus consumed a lot of the golden lotus itself. If it was below level 90, the golden lotus wouldn't shatter directly. However, above level 90, the ability to use the golden lotus to increase one's soul power rank. It meant that the golden lotus was shattered and couldn't be used for the time being. Thus, it brought about a Class 9 increase. It was enough to raise a level 91 titled Douluo's soul power to level 100. Of course, an ordinary titled Douluo wouldn't be able to withstand such power. They would probably explode. This was normal. Level 100 soul power was many times stronger than level 91. How could an ordinary titled Douluo's body withstand it? Boom! A golden pillar of light shot out from Wang Feng. Boom, boom, boom! Every pillar of light shone from Wang Feng's body. Wang Feng's aura became even more terrifying. His soul power had been compressed and purified by the chaotic divine light. It wasn't simple. Wang Feng could clearly sense that the golden light that surged into his body after the golden lotus shattered had formed his own soul power. Every pillar of light represented a Class 1. Majestic power surged out from Wang Feng's body like a tsunami, everything that had happened in that instant. Qian Renxue and Bibidon were stunned. After the third pillar of light, Wang Feng became a transcendent Dalu. After the seventh pillar of light, Wang Feng became a transcendent Dalu. Endless golden light spread from Wang Feng's body to the entire sky. This happened in the blink of an eye. At this moment, the god in the crack in the sky seemed to have reacted. Or rather, he didn't expect this human to be able to withstand his attack so easily. At this moment, his aura was still rising? Could it be that he was still hiding his strength? You're courting death. There was a hint of fury in his cold voice. Under this fury, the crack expanded rapidly. A terrifying murderous aura surged out from this crack. One could faintly see several light wheels flickering. Under this overwhelming murderous aura, even Qian Renxue and Bibidon felt an irresistible force that was enough to kill them. Its strength was at least one level higher than Bibidon's. It was 2 levels higher than Qian Renshue's. Wang Feng! Qian Renxue exclaimed. Looking at the voice in the sky, she became extremely nervous. The angelic holy sword in her hand swallowed and emitted a terrifying light. Although she really hated this guy just now, but now, especially when he said, "I'll choose for you," and rushed into the sky to block that giant palm, the hatred in Qian Renshue's heart disappeared by more than half. She didn't know that Bibidon, who was next to her, was clenching the demon scythe in his hand. Bibidon didn't expect that Wang Feng would take the initiative to resist this god for her and Qian Renxue. In the original plan, she wanted to counterattack when Wang Feng took away the deity position. At most, she would self-destruct and let Wang Feng escape. He was the one who had saved her life in the first place. Even if she died, Bibidon didn't care. If it weren't for, she didn't want to live, on the contrary, she was never used to being controlled by others. It was impossible to make her hand over the deity position so easily. She didn't expect that this guy would be so impulsive and fight for her. She couldn't even carry out the rest of her plan. It had already developed to this point. Boom! As the murderous aura gathered, a pitch-black energy blade seemed to cut open the crack and slash toward Wang Feng. The space cracked. The energy blades fell from the cracks, and every time they fell, the cracks in the air would collapse a little. The deep unknown space inside the crack was revealed. Under this pitch-black energy blade, everything seemed to be turned into nothingness. A terrifying aura came down. The huge airflow formed by this aura seemed to overturn the martial spirit city below. Although it was still far away, the aura alone was enough to make the martial spirit city on the verge of collapse. However, at this moment, the 8th light pillar rose from Wang Feng. In an instant, an aura that could turn the world upside down exploded from Wang Feng's body and blasted into the sky. Chapter 10-19. Level 100. Under the destruction of the Golden Lotus, Wang Feng's soul power level temporarily reached level 100. An invisible golden airflow blasted out in all directions with Wang Feng as the center. In an instant, the boundless murderous aura brought about by the sky-reaching energy blade was dispelled. Qian Renxue and Bibidon's expressions changed slightly. The golden airflow blasted over and instantly sent the two of them flying. Looking at the golden pillar of light in the center, as well as the figure, the two of them were both shocked and terrified. This is level 100 soul power? Qian Renxue was shocked. Has he become a god? Impossible, she didn't feel the aura of a god at all. How could this be a god? But this terrifying aura had completely surpassed the two of them, real gods. At this moment, everyone in Martial Spirit City had basically fainted. Only a few titled Douluo were left, using all their soul power to resist the battle pressure in the sky. They watched with a dumbfounded expression. They didn't know what exactly happened. Even though they were the most powerful existences in this world, to them, this level of power and the things that had happened were completely beyond their understanding. The only one who knew something was Dalu. Level 100,000 Dalu stared. Level 100 was the domain of gods. Level 100 to become a god was a saying that had always been circulating in the Douluo world. Although so many years had passed, only a few had been able to cross that hurdle. He's not a god, but his soul power level has exceeded level 99. Is this level 100? Or will they say that this kid has really become a god? Thousand Dalu didn't know. He only knew that the aura emitted from Wang Feng's body made him feel like worshipping him. It was terrifyingly strong. In fact, Wang Feng could also feel the majestic power in his body at this moment. Although this level 100 soul power trial card only lasted for a short period of time. However, Wang Feng was able to sense how wonderful this power was. However, his situation wasn't good. Because this power was too strong. With his physical body, it was difficult for him to withstand it. Qian Renxue and Bibidon couldn't see him now. His entire body was bathed in golden light, blocking all senses and most of his vision. At this moment, the surface of his body was already covered in blood-red cracks. Even the soul equipment on his body, due to the enormous amount of soul power being poured in, had countless cracks appearing. If it were anyone else, they wouldn't be able to withstand the power of a rank 8 soul beast. Furthermore, his soul power was no ordinary soul power. Thinking of this, Wang Feng looked at the energy blade that was slashing towards him, his face expressionless. He threw out a light punch. In an instant, the clouds in the sky dispersed. That terrifying energy blade was instantly shattered into pieces. Wang Feng had no idea how strong he was at the moment. He only knew that he didn't dare to use his full strength, as it was easy for his body and soul bones to explode. Fortunately, only his soul equipment was able to withstand a portion of this soul power, or else he would be even more restricted. After punching out the attack of the god, Wang Feng did not stop. The ice qilin wings on his back flickered slightly as Wang Feng threw another punch at the crack. The majestic golden light turned into a fist-shaped beam of light from Wang Feng's fist. In the blink of an eye, it blasted into the crack. Ah! A mournful scream filled with disbelief rang out from the crack. The crack suddenly became bigger. A figure appeared from the crack, trembling. The 5 colorful light wheels on his body were faintly discernible at the moment, but his entire body was smashed into pieces by this punch. In an instant, after this scream, the air became quiet. Wang Feng was a little surprised when he saw the 5 halos of divine light. Was this the source of God's power? Below rank 100 soul beast. I wonder what level this god is at in the divine realm. He's actually so weak. Wang Feng didn't think and threw out another punch. The golden beam of light flooded the sky again. Wang Feng believed that with this punch, this god would definitely die. Presumptuous! At this moment, an extremely arrogant voice suddenly rang out from the crack. Then, the gray light fell in front of the god that appeared first like a waterfall. When the golden fist hit the gray waterfall, it only shook out gray ripples but did not penetrate it. Wang Feng stared at the crack and saw several figures behind it. Each of them exuded an extremely powerful aura. Obviously, they had been here for a long time. The god just now was just a wedge. A figure was the first to emerge from the crack. He was wearing a gray robe, and his face was cold and aloof. At this moment, when he saw Wang Feng's state, a trace of surprise and killing intent flashed in his eyes. Are you the ones who want to kill me? Wang Feng looked at the figure with a calm expression. Your divine realm doesn't seem to be much. You can descend to the mortal world and kill people without any scruples. I think you should stop calling it the divine realm and call it the demon realm. I won't charge you for the name change. Human, I'll give you a way out, the god said indifferently. Destroy your 8th soul ring, then destroy your angel martial soul. Your cultivation might be halted forever, but you'll at least be able to keep your life. Otherwise, you won't live past today. Even their divine positions will be taken away. Hearing this, Wang Feng narrowed his eyes. It seemed that the angel martial soul was one of the reasons why the divine realm wanted to kill him. Long Xie was also one of the reasons. It had always been so. This life form was obviously different from the previous one. There were 7 colorful light wheels on his body, and they exuded an indescribable power. Not only that, there seemed to be several auras similar to his in the crack. He was now at rank 100 and, to be honest, he was a little weak. But Wang Feng's god-slaying spear flashed and appeared in his hand. He felt that this guy was no match for him. Whether he could kill him or not was another matter. But since he used this method, he would definitely not let him go. There was no way he was going to let her go. Or rather, he was going to let Long Xie and her angel martial soul go. Self-destruction? Self-destruction? How was that possible? Although the poser dragon was his opponent in the past, now that it had become his soul ring, it was also his underling. How could he kill his underling? Not to mention the angel of light and dark martial soul. Along the way, Wang Feng had a lot of feelings for this martial soul. It had grown and evolved along the way. How could it destroy itself? Wang Feng couldn't be bothered to talk nonsense with this idiot. Invisible lightning flashed, and a greenish-purple spear radiance shot out from the spear, and the god-slaying spear disappeared from Wang Feng's hand. The boundless spear was like an indomitable greenish-purple dragon with a ferocious mouth that attacked the god in gray. He didn't believe that this god could withstand the powerful attack of the god-slaying spear. Chapter 1020. At the same time, the red and green flying swords slashed out countless sword rays in midair. The arrogant-looking deity frowned slightly and sneered. Then, the 7 divine rings on his body flickered. With a gentle wave of his hand, a gray ray of light swept through the various attacks. The sword rays were directly suppressed by this gray ray of light. However, the purple and green spear rays were only slightly weaker. He was slightly taken aback. Suddenly, a prism appeared on his body, emitting a dazzling light. Rumble! The god-killing spear, which was emitting a blood-red light, shattered the prism directly. The deity's expression changed greatly. Is this a divine weapon? He could not believe that the opponent's martial soul was able to break his quasi-divine weapon. Moreover, it was so easy and simple. How could the martial soul of a mortal possess such powerful strength? In a moment of desperation, he hurriedly flickered and disappeared at the critical moment. However, his arm was still cut off by the previous spear ray. His bones, which were like black jade, were exposed. Kill him! The arrogant-looking deity's expression was extremely gloomy. This human was ridiculously strong. If he had reacted slightly slower, the spear might have pierced through his body. What did this mean? Wang Feng waved his hand, and the god-killing spear returned to his hand. Do you know the name of this weapon? Wang Feng looked at the deity. God-killing spear. Hearing this, the expression of the gray-clothed deity changed even more. With such a disrespectful name, it was no wonder that this human possessed the power of that traitor. At this moment, the gray-clothed deity's expression was calm. He raised one of his hands, and the 7 divine rings on his body flickered. Rays of gray light, with him as the center, spread out in all directions. This was a power that surpassed the domain realm. At the same time, 6 light pillars shot out from the crack. They landed in 6 different directions around Wang Feng in the shape of a hexagonal star. Divine formation, 7 prison god. A ray of light, which was like the sun, condensed at the tip of the gray-clothed deity's finger. His whole body flickered in 6 different directions. In an instant, a gray light shield was formed. 7 chains, which were condensed from energy, shot toward Wang Feng from 6 different directions. Wang Feng frowned slightly. Just as he was about to dodge, he found that this space seemed to be completely isolated. That was the power of rule. The power of rule, which was above the deity level. 7 different types of rule force bound this part of the world. It wasn't something that soul power could change. Swish. Swish. 7 chains instantly bound Wang Feng's legs, hands, waist, and neck. 7 different sealing powers appeared around Wang Feng's body, as if they were 7 seals that sealed away all of Wang Feng's soul force. The chaotic green lotus above his head was faintly discernible. It was as if he could disappear at any moment. It was as if 7 seals had been placed on his sea of awareness, even his soul crystal core. Wang Fengxin was shocked. These gods seemed to be quite strong. He shouldn't be one of those ordinary gods in the god realm, right? He was actually able to display such a powerful move. Binding him in an instant? With his rank 100 soul power sealed, he couldn't even use his martial soul. The same went for his spirit. Unfortunately, if this rank 100 soul power was washed by the chaotic divine light again, it would deteriorate. The shackles formed by these 7 types of rule force wouldn't have any effect on him. He could even kill such a god instantly. But that would only work if he really had rank 100 soul power and obtained his 10th soul ring. After all, there was still a big difference in soul power level that relied on the golden lotus. Under the light shield, Wang Feng couldn't move, but he was thinking of a way to break out of this situation. After thinking for a long time, he still couldn't come up with a solution. Suddenly, Wang Feng felt the 7 seals on his body. The power of the rule force seemed a little familiar. It seemed to be related to the angels of light and dark. His soul power was sealed now, so he couldn't release his martial soul. But he had the blood gold pattern, and there were still 2 origin pattern that hadn't turned purple. Would it be useful? As long as the seal loosened a little, as long as he could use a trace of soul power, it would be enough. Wang Fengxin thought and secretly used the remaining 2 origin pattern on his body. The fusion of the blood gold pattern had extremely strict requirements. He needed to use the black lotus and the white lotus, and his colleagues had to withstand power above the god realm. He didn't have this condition now, but Wang Feng found that the purple origin pattern seemed to be able to absorb these 7 different types of energy. This meant that the purple origin pattern on his body was of a higher level than the rule force used by the 7 god. Wang Feng lowered his head and kept silent, absorbing the origin pattern. At this moment, in the eyes of that arrogant god, Wang Feng seemed to be about to give up. The gray light shield was gradually shrinking, and the 7 chains were glowing. "Monster, you are lucky to die here today." The god in gray looked at Wang Feng and said coldly, "Otherwise, I don't know what kind of crisis the god realm would face in the future." After saying that, the god seemed to have noticed something and was about to look at Wang Feng. But right at this moment, one of them was white gold and the other was purple-black. One was the Sun Saint's sword and the other was the demon scythe. Like 2 repelling dragons, they charged toward the gray-clothed deity. "Let him go!" accompanied by an ice-cold shout. These 2 extremely repulsive forces were actually faintly showing signs of merging at this moment. The power they could unleash seemed to have completely surpassed their original strength. Even the gray-robed deity was taken aback. Then, he sneered and waved his hand. Gray light poured down. In an instant the 2 dragons were cut in half. The Sun Saint's sword and the demon scythe were sent flying. Qian Renxue spat out a mouthful of blood. Bibidan's face was pale. The 2 of them had been observing the situation. At this moment, seeing Wang Feng trapped, this god and the rest of the gods hidden in the crack joined forces to suppress Wang Feng. The situation was very bad, so they naturally chose to take action. However, the strength of this god was obviously beyond their imagination. Although the angel god and Rakshasa god are at the same level as me, you two have just stepped into the god realm. You haven't experienced the aura of the god realm, and you haven't cultivated in the god realm. Who gave you the courage to attack me? The deity said arrogantly. Qianrenxue and Bibidan were speechless. They just stared at Wang Feng with complicated expressions. However, at this moment, a faint voice sounded. Of course, I gave it to you. Hearing this, the god in grey looked at Wang Feng. Wang Feng had raised his head. However, he was still restrained and couldn't move. You! The god in grey laughed silently. Someone who is about to die. Halfway through his words, he suddenly sensed that this human seemed to be circulating his soul power. There were 5 purple lines flashing faintly on his body. This was the source of his feeling that something was wrong. However, it was interrupted by Bibidan and Qianrenxue. At the same time, he also saw that in this human's palm, the shadow of an axe was slowly condensing. In the blink of an eye, the axe condensed into a solid object. In an instant, a magnificent light beam, which seemed to break all the restraints, lit up from Wang Feng's body and shattered the sky. Pangu axe. P.S. There should be 2 or 3 more updates tonight. If not, it will be 10 tomorrow. Chapter 1021. The magnificent light unlocked the shackles of chaos and broke all the rules. The power of the 7 seals on Wang Feng's body dissipated in an instant. The grey seal also shattered under the light beam. The energy that could destroy heaven and earth was so condensed that it was almost tangible. It rushed out from the Pangu axe in Wang Feng's hand. Wang Feng suddenly grabbed the axe that contained ancient power. In an instant, a majestic light shone from his body. After his mind power became a soul crystal core, he could freely control the Pangu axe's blood burst attack. However, Wang Feng still did not dare to use the power of the Pangu axe. After all, it was a double-edged sword. The blood burst attack could destroy both the enemy and himself. Who knew if there would be other ways to attack? At this moment, seeing that Qianrenxue and Bibidan were injured, he did not intend to hide it. He thought that with his temporary rank 100 soul power, he could defeat these gods. However, these gods were not simple. Each was stronger than the other. The long-lost feeling of power appeared in Wang Fengxin's head. Streaks of chaotic light circulated around Wang Feng's body, making him look like a giant that had come from ancient times. His body seemed to have increased in size. The moment the Pangu axe was formed, the majestic power broke the rules of these gods. Even if it was only a martial soul, the seal of these gods' rules could not seal the Pangu axe. Wang Feng used the 5 purple origin patterns to absorb an extremely small part of the seal's energy. He barely mobilized some soul power to condense the Pangu axe. This ancient axe, under Wang Feng's rank 100 soul power, emitted a light that reached the heavens. The gray clouds in the sky rolled and roared in fear. At this moment, the light of the world gathered on Wang Feng's body. The 7-ringed god in gray roared in anger, but he could not help but feel a sense of fear. As a god, it was extremely rare for him to feel such fear. However, at this moment, he was afraid. Wang Feng's eyes were like lightning. He held the Pangu axe in his hand and slashed it toward the god. In an instant, his figure was like a rainbow. The space shattered, and countless black marks formed by the shattering of space surrounded the god in gray. The aura of death rose from his heart. Under this axe, the space was completely shattered. The axe light broke through everything. The blood-curdling screams stopped abruptly. Amidst the endless axe light, the gray-cloaked deity did not even have a chance to fight back. His body dissipated, turning into a beam of light that disappeared between the sky and the earth. He escaped into the crack. That was the divine soul. With this strike, his physical body was completely destroyed, and only a wisp of his divine soul was left. Meanwhile, Wang Feng did not intend to let go of that crack. Wang Feng stepped into the void, and an exploding mushroom air current rose from his feet. Facing the crack, Wang Feng did not hesitate and repeatedly chopped out with his axe. It was as if he wanted to tear that crack open, to tear the other side of the hypocrisy. Several axe lights broke through the sky. Wang Feng's eyes were cold. The Pangu axe in his hand began to glow with a chaos light. Every time the axe light fell, it was as if a large hole had been cut open by a pair of scissors. It gradually became bigger. It was as if a path had been cleaved open. Numerous screams continuously sounded from the other side of the crack. As a result, the 6 deities hiding in the cracks were severely injured. It was as if Wang Feng was the only one left between the sky and the earth, facing the crack. In the sky, dark clouds rolled and thunder roared around the crack, as if some terrible energy was brewing. It was as if the end of the world had come. Wang Feng. In the distance, Qian Renxue stared blankly at this scene. What just happened? Killing a deity? He only used one move? What kind of power was this? Back on the Sea God Island, Qian Renxue saw Wang Feng use this magical axe martial soul. With his soul power of more than level 80, he could even fight with the demigod Bibidon. Now, with his soul power of less than level 100, he could kill these 7-ring deities with one swing of his axe. The crack in the sky was also directly hacked into a large hole by Wang Feng's axe. It was like a passage, but killing a deity meant offending the divine realm. What should he do in the future? Qian Renxue's mind was in a mess, and he could not figure out his current emotions. When he first learned that the divine realm wanted to kill Wang Feng, this situation might have happened. But now that it had happened, he did not know what to do. Bibidon frowned slightly. When she fought with Wang Feng before, she knew that his strength was far beyond hers. The power of this axe was terrifying. It was hard to imagine that the martial soul of a soul master could kill a deity. This kind of martial soul completely surpassed the power of a martial soul. It was even more terrifying than a deity's artifact because only deities could use a deity's artifact. However, she had experienced the power of this axe. Now that it could kill a deity, although Bibidon was surprised, it was still within her expectations. The only thing that worried Bibidon was that she clearly remembered that this axe could be bloodthirsty and hurt Wang Feng. If he lost control like last time, he would be in danger. His current soul power was increased through special means, and it was not stable. If this happened, there might be a backlash in his body. At that time, if he fell into a state of madness, it would not be just a deity who would die. After all, this guy almost killed her last time. At this moment, Bibidon suddenly looked at the crack, and her pupils suddenly shrank. Qian Renxue also seemed to feel something. Unknowingly, purplish-black lightning arcs circled around the fissure. Each lightning arc was like a lightning dragon, flickering and flickering. Several light wheels slowly lit up from the crack. A tyrannical aura lit up from those light wheels. That was an aura that could destroy everything. Purple-black lightning arcs roared like lightning dragons, and 9 light wheels shook off countless purple-black lightning arcs in a row. Suddenly, a figure in a black cloak appeared in the center of the crack. Quietly looking at the sky and earth, Wang Feng narrowed his eyes slightly. Just by feeling, this deity seemed to be a little different. Compared to the previous one, this deity was many times stronger. Wang Feng did not think and directly chopped with the axe. Without any hesitation, the axe light that could split the sky and earth had the supreme power to split all living things. However, the figure raised his head slightly and raised his palm. A purple-black ball of light was enshrouded in his palm, and he directly pressed it in front of him. In an instant, the axe light seemed to have encountered a huge attraction, and endless energy was directly sucked into the purple-black ball of light. A terrifying destructive force raged in the purple-black ball of light. The axe light of the Pangu axe disappeared without a trace. Wang Feng's pupils shrank. This deity was extraordinarily strong. With the current level 100 soul power of the Pangu axe, a move released could not cause any damage to this deity? although this level 100 soul power was very weak, and there was a big difference between it and the one he cultivated himself. But the other party also did not do anything. Standing in the same place, he easily absorbed the attack of the Pangu. An even more powerful rule power was nurtured in the purple-black ball of light. It was deep, destructive, and silent. He raised his head, and a cold red light jumped under the cloak. Although his face could not be seen, the other party's eyes were cold and calm, and there was a boundless aura of destruction. He gently threw down the purple-black ball of light in his hand. Chapter 10:22. In an instant, the earth trembled and countless mountains, rivers, trees, and houses collapsed. The martial spirit city below trembled violently. Streaks of purplish-black lightning circled around the purplish-black ball of light, filling the sky with thunderbolt. It looked extremely small. Compared to the previous attacks of the two gods, this light ball was pitifully small. However, it gave Wang Feng the feeling of a nuclear bomb. Not to mention him, even Qian Renxue and Bibidan might not be spared. Wang Fengxin let out a long sigh. There were no rules to talk about with gods, because gods represented the rules. Not being able to descend to the lower realm was just a rule they talked about. In fact, they could do whatever they wanted. They treated mortals like ants. This god gave Wang Feng an extremely dangerous feeling. He had not felt this way for a long time. Even when facing Bibidan on the Sea God Island, he did not feel this way. Perhaps this is the closest I have ever been to death, Wang Fengxin thought. At this moment, he had reached his limit. There was no room for him to go any further. He took a deep breath and looked at the purplish-black light ball that was emitting a destructive aura. Blood began to overflow from Wang Feng's body and integrated into the Pangu. Violent blood attack. Activate. Wang Feng, no. A voice sounded behind him. That was Bibi Dong's anxious voice, his expression changing drastically. But it was too late. The moment the blood began to integrate into the Pangu axe, a fierce light lit up from the Pangu axe. Ancient patterns began to light up on the axe's body and blade, as if representing the direction of this world. Under the blood patterns, a majestic force emerged from the Pangu axe again. Wang Feng jumped up. All the blood in his body flowed rapidly and integrated into the Pangu axe. Then, endless power gushed out from the Pangu axe. With a low roar, Wang Feng held the axe with both hands. His palms and arms were connected to the blood patterns all over his body. Countless blood gathered, making the Pangu axe shine like a bloody sun, dazzling and eye-catching. His axe chopped towards the purplish-black ball of light. Boom! In an instant, a ball of intense light exploded in the sky. It was so exciting that the Qian Renxue and Bibidan could not open their eyes. With endless destructive power, the energy that could destroy the sky raged in the clouds. Countless cracks appeared in the world, making it look like a scene of devastation. Bibidan and Qian Renxue were once again shaken by the energy flow and spat out mouthfuls of blood. Just the slightest shockwave was enough to heavily injure the two of them, godly-level experts. One could imagine how terrifying the purplish-black ball of light was. Both of them looked up at the sky at the same time. Amidst the endless explosion of light, Wang Feng's figure split the purple ball of light in half from the middle. However, Wang Feng's entire body was covered in blood. Some of it had been absorbed by the Pangu axe, and some had been torn apart by the destructive power emitted by the sphere of light. The purplish-black lightning arcs were like threads, wreaking havoc on Wang Feng's body. The powerful power of the rules of destruction made it difficult for Wang Feng's current body to withstand the power of this level. His strength was fading, and his life force was weakening. The golden lotus was shattered and could not be used. Wang Feng could only use the secret word to recover. However, the speed of recovery could not keep up with the damage caused by the destructive power. Wang Feng coughed a few times. The energy of the meteoric tear gushed out and confronted the destructive power. The majestic life force became Wang Feng's life-saving straw. He finally understood the difficulty of the last part of the check-in. It was not Qianrenxue and Bibidan. It was these gods. Gods, was this the power of gods? With the rules in hand, they could destroy everything with a snap of their fingers. Wang Feng looked at the Pangu axe in his hand. It was a pity. Even if he only had rank 100 soul power, he felt that he could not fully unleash the power of the Pangu axe. The upper limit of the Pangu axe was not limited to this. Even as a martial soul, its upper limit was not limited to this. Blood continued to gather in the Pangu axe. Blood-red light surged out of the Pangu axe. As long as there was enough blood, the Pangu axe could still unleash its tyrannical power. In the next moment, Wang Feng rose into the air again and slashed directly at the cloaked figure. You overestimate yourself. It seemed that he was not surprised that Wang Feng could break his attack with one strike. Instead, he was a little interested that Wang Feng had the courage to attack him. He suddenly raised his hand. The space froze, and purplish-black lightning appeared in his hand. Wang Feng's axe carried the power to split the sky and earth. It cut through countless space cracks and landed in front of the cloaked figure. In an instant, the cloaked figure snorted coldly. He grabbed the axe with his palm. Boom, boom, boom. A huge torrent of energy, with the two of them as the center, shook hundreds of thousands of meters away. However, the cloaked figure did not move at all. He only frowned slightly. He looked at his palm and saw a bloody mark. He was injured. A hint of surprise flashed in his eyes. This mortal, who was not even a god, was able to hurt him, one of the 5 supreme divine kings of the heavenly realm, with an axe? If this were to spread, the entire heavenly realm would be turned upside down. Thinking of this, his palm shook and majestic destructive lightning exploded on the Pangu axe. Wang Feng's entire body flew out as if he had crashed. It fell rapidly from the thunder layer in the sky. However, he sighed in his heart. If he was really at level 100, this god would definitely be seriously injured by this axe. The cloaked figure shook his hand, and the bloody mark was instantly healed. Looking at Wang Feng's falling figure, he formed a hand seal. It formed a destructive lightning spear, which cut through the void and fell directly on Wang Feng, who was covered in bloody marks. In the distance, Qianrenxue and Bibidan's pupils shrank. If this move was used, could Wang Feng survive? Although they were so far away, Bibidan's mind went blank. She suddenly thought of the time in the Pope's palace. A girl shielded Wang Feng in front of him and took his palm. At this moment, Bibidan suddenly understood the girl's thoughts at that time. However, Bibidan did not expect that one day she would have such thoughts and wormholes. She immediately rushed out. However, it was impossible for her to catch up. It was too far away. The destructive energy in the air made it difficult to move. The Pangu axe in Wang Feng's hand disappeared. He stared at the lightning spear that cut through the void. In this short moment, his mind was like a clap of thunder, and the experience of more than 20 years flashed past. It was not long, but other than the first 6 years, the various experiences that followed were not something an ordinary person could experience in several lifetimes. He was unwilling to accept this. At this moment, 2 soul rings suddenly surged out from his body. Roar! Roar! A violent roar surged out from the reddish-gold soul ring. A blood-colored giant dragon shadow that was hundreds of meters long appeared in mid-air. And in the icy golden soul ring, Lin Lord Bingmu, who was only tens of meters tall, also appeared. The soul rings merged into the bodies of the two. Chapter 10:23. Wang Feng was stunned. Why did the two of them appear now? Wang Feng seemed to have thought of something, and his eyes widened. In the next moment, boundless blood-red light surged into Long Xie's body. He exchanged glances with Lin Lord Bingmu. Boss, if you die, we won't be able to live either. Long Xie laughed loudly. Today, I'll show you 99. 99% of my power. Wang Feng wanted to laugh, but he couldn't. Lord Bingmu took a deep look at Wang Feng and sighed. Long Xie's huge body turned into a streak of blood-red light as he charged towards the lightning spear. On the other side, Lord Bingmu roared into the sky. His scarlet gold soul ring fused with his illusory body and became more real. Wang Feng's soul power was sucked dry. Bastards! Who told you to do this? Wang Feng roared. He knew what they were trying to do. Their soul rings gathered the life and spirit of 2 million soul beasts. They turned into 2 streaks of intense light. They were like 2 streams of energy that clashed with the destructive lightning spear. However, it was like a mantis trying to stop a chariot. Instantly, Long Xie and Lord Bingmu's bodies were crushed. Under the terrifying power of the destructive lightning spear, it couldn't even slow down the momentum of the lightning spear by a bit. The difference in strength was too great. Just like stepping on ants, Long Xie and Lord Bingmu were gone. Their spirits turned into countless spots of light that fused with their soul rings. The soul rings shattered, and they turned from gold to white. More and more cracks appeared. Just as they were about to shatter, Wang Feng roared and charged towards the destructive lightning spear. The chaotic green lotus bloomed above his head, and boundless green light retrieved the soul rings that were about to shatter. However, the destructive lightning spear pierced through his body. Splat! The destructive lightning spear pierced through his body, and Wang Feng's body shook. His soul armor was crushed. 2 fist-sized holes appeared in his chest. His life was flowing away rapidly at this moment. Wang Wu! A shrill and lifeless voice came from behind Wang Feng. Bibi Dong was still half a beat slower. At this moment, she arrived behind Wang Feng. She was already panting and covered in wounds. Just the boundless destructive energy in the air alone was countless times more difficult than passing through the thundercloud layer. Wang Feng fell from the sky and landed on Bibidan's body. She held him in her arms. Blood flowed out, but there was not much because the Pangu axe had absorbed a lot of it. In the distance, Qian Rinshua's eyes were crimson red, and the holy light energy around him seemed to have turned blood red. Bibidan, she slowly arrived at Wang Feng's side because she was much weaker than Bibidan. Wang Feng stared blankly at the Bibidan. Her eyes were filled with tears. Her dignified eyes were no longer as cold as before. At this moment they were filled with despair and pain. Streaks of tears flowed down his cheeks. You can't die, Bibidan muttered as he looked at Wang Feng. She frantically poured her divine power into Wang Feng's body. Wang Feng was silent for a moment. He could feel his life draining away. For him, who had faced death several times, this time the feeling of death was the most intense. He knew that he was going to die. Even the meteoric tear could not save him. It could only keep Wang Feng alive. Death was only a matter of time. That destructive lightning spear contained even more powerful destruction precept. It could not be healed by simple recovery. No amount of restorative energy was of any use. Divine power was the same, unless it was comparable to the other party's destruction precepts. Don't waste your energy. Wang Feng shook his head. Although his voice was weak, it was very clear. Your divine power is useless to me. Rakshasa divine power could not be compared to energy that contained destruction precept. Not to mention, Bibidan had just become a god and had not comprehended much of Rakshasa's precepts, and it was not a divine power that leaned toward recovery. How do you know if you don't try? At this moment, another stream of divine power was poured into Wang Feng's body. That was the holy power of light. Wang Feng was stunned again. Qian Rinshua said stubbornly with tears in her eyes. The two of them didn't cry out loud, but tears flowed down their cheeks continuously. The evil divine power and the victory of light intertwined in Wang Feng's body. It did not heal Wang Feng's injuries, but he could feel that the remaining 2 blood gold veins were beginning to merge. This caused Wang Feng to be stunned. It was very difficult for these 2 veins to merge. Because the golden lotus was temporarily broken, Wang Feng could not use the golden lotus and the black lotus at the same time. But at this moment, they were merging? After thinking about it, Wang Feng roughly understood. Bibidan's evil divine power and Qian Rinxue's light divine power had replaced the black lotus and the golden lotus at this moment. The terrifying destruction divine power in her body was eroding Wang Feng's body, which represented a god-level attack. How could it cause the last two blood gold veins to start merging? Wang Feng had not expected that the last two blood gold veins would converge into purple origin veins under such circumstances. If they merged and condensed into an angelic source core, perhaps there would be a chance of survival? Wang Fengxin muttered to himself. However, none of this escaped the cloaked figure's senses. A few breaths later, Qian Rinxue and Bibidan started injecting their divine power. A cold snort was heard. In an instant, the bodies of Qian Rinxue and Bibidan shook as the divine power in their bodies dissipated. As a result, the last purple origin veins were unable to merge completely. Wang Feng glanced at the cloaked figure. Not only was she strong, but she was also very smart. "Stop," Wang Feng said with a sigh. "If I die, the God realm will not target you for the time being. Don't try to kill yourself." Wang Feng reached out and wiped away the tears on Bibidan's face. Bulsh *T. Bibidan grabbed Wang Feng's hand and said coldly, "If you die, then what's the point of me living?" She stared into Wang Feng's eyes. Her cold and trembling hands made Wang Feng feel the fear in her heart. She was not afraid of death, but she was afraid of her own death. "Wang Feng, do you think I will still go to the God realm if you die?" Qian Rinxue held Wang Feng's hand tightly. "I don't care. You can't die. You must have a way to survive. As long as you survive, I will listen to you." Wang Feng shook his head. He really had no other way now. "It's too late for you to say this now. You've created so many miracles." Bibi Dong held Wang Feng's hand and hugged him. He murmured, "I don't believe that you'll die like this. I just want you to live. I'll listen to you." Wang Feng. He thought to himself, what's the point of saying this now? Two of his soul rings were on the verge of shattering. Long Xie's and Bing Mu's souls were shattered. His soul power and spiritual power were exhausted. His body was pierced through, and the terrifying destructive divine power was wreaking havoc all over his body, cutting off any possibility of recovery. What could he do? Chapter 10:24. Right at this moment, a series of angry voices sounded. "Brother Feng! Captain!" In the distance, a figure suddenly appeared in the distance. It was Tang San. After inheriting the sea god's deity position, he rushed here almost immediately. Although the sea god's island was very far away from here, after becoming the sea god, he controlled the power of the sea and crossed the sea in a short time. Then, he flew in the air and quickly arrived at Martial Spirit City with the others. The power of a god was indeed incomparable to that of a soul master. Before coming, he had already sensed that an extremely terrifying energy fluctuation had erupted in this place, and it was getting more and more intense. He had already used his fastest speed, but when Tang San arrived, he could only see this scene. It was a very strange scene. Everyone in Martial Spirit City had already lost consciousness. Even the titled Douluo fainted after the cloaked figure with 9 divine rings appeared. Even the 1,000 Dao stream was no exception. Under that huge pressure, death was the only way to get close to Martial Spirit City. Tang San and Xiao Wu were the only 2 people who could enter the sky of Martial Spirit City. The others were isolated outside Martial Spirit City and couldn't withstand that huge pressure at all. Once they entered, they would instantly faint, even if they were titled Dalu. But even outside Martial Spirit City, Ma Hongjun and the others could see the distant sky at this moment, and the towering figure in the crack. At a glance, they felt their entire bodies tremble. From a distance, it was just a small black dot, Although Ma Hongjun and the others roughly knew what was going on, they still didn't know. After Tang San became a god, he hurriedly returned to the continent and told them. The god wanted to kill Wang Feng. Although they didn't know the specific reason, it seemed to be the case. But the scene in front of them was really strange. Especially in the eyes of Tang San and Xiao Wu. Because they were the closest. Forget about Qian Renshu. Tang San roughly knew that this woman had special feelings for Brother Feng. Back then, it was Brother Feng who pretended to cover her escape from the Heaven Do Imperial Palace. Especially when they were on the Sea God's Island, Qian Renshue immediately looked for Wang Feng to save him. This relationship is definitely not simple, but what was the situation with this Rakshasa deity Bibidan? On the way, Tang San was also anxious because he sensed the aura of the Rakshasa deity. This meant that Bibidan was not dead. Bibidan was supposed to be dead in the Great Star Do Forest. But Bibidan, whom Tang San thought was dead, had actually become a god after disappearing for more than a year? If he didn't die and became a god, wouldn't he want to kill Big Brother Feng even more? What shocked Tang San even more was that Rakshasa deity Bibidan, who was supposed to kill Wang Feng, hugged Big Brother Feng in her arms with tears of pain in her eyes. Tang San and Xiao Wu's minds were filled with question marks. This was especially true for Xiao Wu. She understood the look in Bibidan's eyes all too well. It was exactly the same as the painful look in Tang San's eyes when he sacrificed himself to his brother and was about to die. What did this mean? This meant this martial spirit Hall's Pope and Big Brother Feng. Tang San suddenly looked at the figure in the crack. His whole body trembled, and waves of Sea God's divine power rushed out of his body. The golden trident and Sea God's divine armor appeared on his body. Xiao Wu shook her confused head and looked at Bibidan with a complicated expression. She also looked at the figure with anger in her eyes. Xiao San, Xiao Wu, don't mess around. You can't beat him. Wang Feng coughed and shouted coldly, interrupting the two. Tang San and Xiao Wu were stunned, but they didn't answer. They still looked at him coldly. At this time, that figure opened his mouth to speak. Sea God's divine power, Azura God's divine power. The figure looked at the two, and a strange light flashed in his eyes. Sea God Tang San, don't you know your mission? Sea God Poseidon gave you the deity position. Didn't he tell you anything? Tang San's expression turned cold. Of course he knew. After inheriting the Sea God's deity position, Sea God Poseidon told him some things about the divine realm. He also asked him to kill Wang Feng, because this was an order from the Divine Realm Committee. Tang San also knew who this cloaked figure was. This terrifying destructive energy. It must be one of the 5 divine kings of the divine realm, the god of destruction. He was also one of the law enforcers of the divine realm. To be able to provoke this god of destruction. This meant that the gods that appeared before were very likely all defeated by Brother Feng. Gods were also divided into ranks. Divine officers, level 3 gods, level 2 gods, level 1 gods, god kings, and so on. They were all divided. And the most important thing to judge the strength of these gods was the divine ring on their body. It was a symbol of power that could only be formed by cultivation in the divine realm. In the Douluo world, it was impossible to cultivate it. So no matter how powerful a soul master was, it was difficult to fight against a god. Tang San knew that they had just become gods. Not to mention god kings, even level 1 or level 2 gods were far away. But with the Sea God's deity position, it meant that he could cultivate to level 1 god. The upper limit was extremely high. Gods also needed to cultivate on their own. It was the same for the angel god and Rakshasa god. But even if they really cultivated to level 1 god, it was impossible to defeat the god of destruction. Brother, what should we do? Xiao Wu whispered. I don't know, but I can't let Brother Feng die like this. Tang San walked to Wang Feng's side and did not attack the god of destruction. Instead, He transferred the sea god's divine power to Wang Feng. It was as if he did not see the Bibidan and Qianrenshu. Little San, don't waste your energy. I have a way to survive, Wang Feng said weakly. Tang San looked at the two terrifying holes in Wang Feng's chest and could only feel waves of destructive divine power wreaking havoc. If it was another person, they would have died in an instant. But Brother Feng's body seemed to be stronger than his divine body. He could still hang on for a while. Away! Tang San was stunned. At this time, the god of destruction in mid-air snorted coldly. Under the pressure of the endless rules, the divine power in Tang San's body was rapidly drained like the tide. Then, the god of destruction looked at Wang Feng with a hint of surprise in his eyes. This successor of the God Realm's traitor seemed to be extraordinarily powerful. After receiving such a serious blow from him, he did not die instantly? It did not matter. Although the power he could exert in this world was limited, under the law of destruction, any of his attacks was not something a human soul master could withstand. As long as he could kill this successor of the God Realm's traitor and solve the future problem, he did not care about the gossip of the God Realm. What's more, he was just enforcing the law. With that thought, the god of destruction looked at Wang Feng and condensed a destructive lightning spear in his hand. It appeared again and directly blasted toward Wang Feng. He would not give the other party any chance to recover. Since he was still breathing, he would cut off this last breath, and cut off any possibility. The destructive lightning spear blasted down with boundless destructive power. However, at this moment, Wang Feng smiled slightly. Of course there is a way. Chapter 10:25. With that, Wang Feng glanced at the destructive thunder spear. You guys disperse first. Not before. But after Tang San and Xiao Wu came, Wang Feng probably had a way. Seeing this, Tang San and Xiao Wu looked at each other. Looking at the destructive thunder spear and feeling the empty soul power in their bodies, they stepped back with heavy hearts. At the same time, Wang Feng looked at Bibidan and Qianrenshu and said, "What you said just now is true? If you die, I will die," Bibidan said calmly. Tang San and Xiao Wu were shocked when they heard this. Even Tang San, who was slow to react, seemed to understand something at this moment. He looked at Wang Feng and Bibidan in disbelief. His mind was full of question marks. Were the two of them serious? Of course. It's true, Qianrenshu also whispered. His eyes were full of determination. That's good. Wang Feng exhaled, and his eyes suddenly burst with a burst of light. He shouted in his mind, "Meteoric tear, fuse!" In an instant, the meteoric tear in his chest suddenly emitted a fierce light. In the distance, outside the martial spirit city, Zhu Zhuqing also covered her painful chest. The closer they were to the martial spirit city, the more painful Zhu Zhuqing's chest was. But at this moment the pain began to weaken. "Zhuqing, what's wrong with you?" Bai Chenxiang and Xin Lingqi hurriedly helped Zhu Zhuqing. "It's okay, I can save him." Zhu Zhuqing looked into the distance in a daze. Soul power surged, and under the traction of the two forces, Zhu Zhuqing only felt that the mysterious tear-shaped piece in her heart suddenly disappeared. It only lasted for a moment. This piece of meteoric tear seemed to have passed through space. It directly appeared in Wang Feng's heart. At this moment, the two pieces of meteoric tear finally fused. As early as when he got the second piece of meteoric tear, the system said that although it could be fused. However, Wang Feng had always been afraid that after the fusion, he would not be able to withstand the impact of the energy contained in the complete meteoric tear. The meteoric tear was formed from the condensed energy of the God King of Life from another world. It also contained the God King's understanding of the laws of time and space, as well as the true laws of life. Once they fused, Wang Feng did not think he could withstand the energy condensed by a God King, let alone laws. If he had unleashed his full power, with Wang Feng's strength at that time, it was very likely that he would have died. and the godly king of that world was not simple. At the very least, Wang Feng believed that the deity in front of him was much stronger than the deity in front of him. This was what Wang Feng deduced from the memories of the stellar transformation. Actually, Wang Feng was planning to fuse them when he reached level 100 and try to understand the laws within. That way, he could break through level 100 and become a god. But now, he couldn't care less. Furthermore, Zhu Zhuqing hadn't arrived yet, so he hadn't been able to sense the fusion of the two meteoric tears from such a long distance. Therefore, Wang Feng had no other choice. He never expected that Tang San and the others would arrive so soon. At his heart, Wang Feng's esoteric character was operating crazily, urging the life origin of the two meteoric tears to fuse. Boom! Endless life energy gushed out of Wang Feng's chest. Endless light wrapped around Wang Feng's body. Even Bibi Dong and Qianrenxue, who were inside, were affected because of this. What kind of boundless life energy was this? The two of them were stunned. Because at this moment, the hole in Wang Feng's chest was almost restored to its original state in the blink of an eye. Not only that, but even the divine power in their bodies was completely restored. The destruction divine power in their bodies was quickly washed away by this life energy that was like a galaxy in the universe. But this was not enough. An even more enormous life energy gushed out of Wang Feng's heart endlessly. The activation of the esoteric character began to open the floodgates for this flood-like energy. Wang Feng roared, and all the injuries on his body were healed in an instant. The godly king's life origin contained an unimaginable amount of energy. His body, muscles, and even every cell was filled with lifelike energy. A tyrannical aura burst out of Wang Feng's body again. A majestic light lit up. The godly king of destruction's blood-colored pupils shrank slightly, feeling a little shocked at the current Wang Feng. At this moment, the power rushing out of the other party was so similar to his wife's, and even stronger. They were both life energy, but the life energy flowing in this soul master's body was so strong and pure. Even his destruction divine power that contained the law could be easily dispelled. This meant that the other party's life energy also contained the powerful law of life. Otherwise, it would be impossible to dispel the pure life energy so easily. A human soul master. The godly king of destruction felt a little incredulous. If it was the battle just now, he could barely understand. The other party's martial soul was so powerful that it had exceeded the limits of this world. But the life energy that erupted from the other party's body was endless, which made him unable to understand. How could something like this happen to a human soul master? In fact, whether it was the chaotic green lotus or the Pangu axe, they were just martial souls. Martial souls weren't physical entities. They were directly linked to the soul master's strength. No matter how strong they were, they still needed the soul master's soul power as a support point. But the life origin of the two meteoric tears was different. This was something that truly existed. Wang Feng's 9 soul rings lit up. Under the boundless life energy, the 2 shattered white soul rings at the top started to heal. The quality of the soul rings decreased, and the souls of Long Xie and Bing Mu Lin Lord were also slowly recovering under this life energy. But they couldn't recover to their previous million-year soul rings. It was already the limit to be able to recover their shattered soul rings and prevent their souls from being destroyed. The soul rings disappeared, and the Pangu axe was in his hand again. Wang Feng looked at the sky. The destructive lightning spear was crashing down, and the cloaked figure in the crack behind him. The boundless life energy made Wang Feng feel as if he had endless power. The life origin's energy was too strong. There were even some special law energies that fused into his body. Wang Feng couldn't use these law energies because he didn't understand them. He couldn't use them at all. This would lead to a consequence. The more law energies there were, the harder it would be for Wang Feng's body to withstand them. It was impossible for him to understand them in a short period of time. But at this moment, Wang Feng didn't want to think so much. He only wanted to vent the explosive energy in his body. Wang Feng's body jerked, and his blood flowed rapidly into the Pangu axe. He immediately activated the explosive blood attack. The axe seemed to split the heavens and earth as it slashed towards the destructive lightning spear. It was split into two. The terrifying destructive power caused countless injuries to Wang Feng's body, but they recovered in an instant. Wang Feng slashed his axe towards the godly king of destruction once again. P.S. 5 more chapters. Chapter 10:26. What did it mean to not die without doing it? Wang Feng felt that he was immortal at this moment. The destructive lightning spear's power did not decrease, and his body's strength did not increase either. When he split the destructive lightning spear, his body was the same as before, breaking inch by inch, but it instantly recovered to its original state. The pain was nothing to Wang Feng, it was like scratching an itch. Endless life energy spewed out from the meteoric tear in his heart, and the destruction law on the destructive lightning spear could not withstand the impact of this life energy. This feeling was immortality. Wang Feng's remaining power did not decrease at all, and he swung his axe at the God King of Destruction again. The God King of Destruction snorted coldly and caught Wang Feng's axe with one hand. A nebula-like airflow erupted from the crack again. The God King of Destruction took 2 steps back, and a purple divine light suddenly erupted from his body. He held the Pangu axe in his hand and threw Wang Feng away. With a flick of his finger, the God King of Destruction blasted the purple divine light directly through Wang Feng's body. How strong was his mind power! It was impossible for Wang Feng to compare with it. If not for his interest in the axe, Wang Feng might not be able to hit him. At the same time, this kind of mind power that surpassed the limit, as long as it locked onto Wang Feng, there was no room for him to dodge. The purple divine light penetrated Wang Feng's body, but in the blink of an eye, Wang Feng's body recovered to its original state. The God King of Destruction's eyes narrowed slightly. Although his attack was not strong, it had a strong life energy, and even the God King of Destruction could not break it. Even if his body was shattered, he would be able to recover instantly. What was that thing? How could there be such a powerful existence in this plane? Wang Feng's soul power rank still did not increase. Although the life energy of the life origin was massive, it could make Wang Feng immortal. But if he could not comprehend the law within, Wang Feng would not be able to break through to level 101. But was the law within so easy to comprehend? The life origin was an item of the God King in the stellar transformation. Apart from the life law, it also contained the God King's perception of other laws. But to comprehend the law of that level, those God Kings would need to spend countless years, and they would need thousands of years to comprehend it while taking a nap. And for a life form of that level, the change of the universe seemed to be a common thing. It was just like how he usually cultivated for several months. It was not realistic for Wang Feng to comprehend it in a short time. If he couldn't comprehend the laws within, he wouldn't be able to break through the level 100 limit. Since Wang Feng could not comprehend laws of that level, it was impossible for him to create his own deity position. This was because creating a deity position required the approval of the God realm. Otherwise, one would not be able to break through that layer of restrictions. Unless the entire Douluo world rose and became a world similar to the divine realm, then it would be possible to create a deity position. The rules of the world limited everything. The most troublesome thing was that this life energy was of a different type from his soul power. This life energy contained the law of life. Although it could rapidly repair one's body, it could not be converted into one's soul power and could not be controlled. It was still the same old saying, unless one comprehended the law of life. If he couldn't comprehend it, the energy could only be used to automatically restore his body. Furthermore, it kept gushing out, filling Wang Feng's body, making him feel like he was about to explode. This was also Wang Feng's concern when he first obtained the second meteoric tear. He roughly knew that the fused origin contained nomological power. However, if he couldn't comprehend it, it meant that this thing wasn't as useful as the meteoric tear. After Wang Feng's body recovered, he once again swung his axe at the God King of Destruction. Boom! Are you done yet? The God King of Destruction was furious. I want to see if you're really immortal. A mere soul master from the mortal world had attacked him again and again. Not to mention a God King, no one could stand it. With that, the 9 soul rings on his body shone. He moved. All along, he had been receiving the attacks of this human. He didn't move because he still had to take care of this world. With his strength, even if he suppressed part of it, it wouldn't be difficult for him to break through this plane. Therefore, he had been receiving Wang Feng's attack. At this moment, he was a little angry. The anger of a God King was naturally extraordinary. The God King of Destruction's speed was extremely fast, at least much faster than Wang Feng's speed. There was no trace of him in midair, only endless dark destructive power. Boom! The God King of Destruction lightly punched Wang Feng's body. In an instant, the entire void exploded. Countless cracks appeared in the space. This space was already riddled with holes. This punch directly blasted Wang Feng back thousands of meters. His body suddenly exploded. But immediately after, he recovered in an instant. Pain? Wang Feng didn't feel pain, only a little refreshed. There was too much life energy, and he couldn't use it, there was nowhere to vent it. It was very uncomfortable. But under this punch, his body was shattered, and the endless life energy that was still surging out could find a place to vent. Wang Feng's body spurted blood, and he used the Pangu Axe's blood burst attack without hesitation. Only at this moment could Wang Feng use the Pangu Axe's blood burst attack so freely. He attacked the God King of Destruction again. Swish, swish, swish. In an instant, countless clouds erupted in the sky, and countless space was torn apart. One figure after another was blasted out. The 2 figures seemed to have become light and shadow in midair, intertwining. The people below were dumbfounded. Because the battle was too huge, Wang Feng went to fight the God King of Destruction as soon as he fully recovered. The few of them left one after another. Looking up from below, they could only see countless cracks in the sky, floating with a strange aura. The 2 figures bombarded the sky like meteors. They fought from the east to the west, and from the south to the north. The terrifying power of destruction wreaked havoc in the sky, and the few people felt their scalps tingle, because Wang Feng's body had been blasted apart too many times. But no matter how the God King of Destruction attacked, he couldn't cause any substantial damage to Wang Feng. The most terrifying thing was, "This is the God King of Destruction," Tang San murmured. One of the top 5 supreme beings in the divine realm. Brother Feng could actually fight against the God King of Destruction now? And he could vaguely feel that the God King of Destruction was injured. When the God King of Destruction attacked Wang Feng would sometimes use the Pangu Axe to slash the God King of Destruction. The God King of Destruction would also be injured when the axe came down. At first, he could recover quickly, but as the number of times increased, gradually, more and more wounds appeared. Dodging was nothing compared to the fact that Wang Feng would be smashed to pieces with each punch. But Tang San also felt that it was unbelievable. Was this Brother Feng at level 100? He could fight against a God King after skipping several God-level levels? Even if he and Xiao Wu worked together, they might not be able to defeat a level 2 God. Chapter 10:27. I've been tricked. Bibidon looked at the figure in her heart and said softly in her heart. Wang Wu said that there was no way. In fact, he just wanted to trick her into saying those words. However, at this moment, every time she saw Wang Feng being beaten up, she felt a slight tug in her heart. If this goes on, will it be okay? Qian Renxue murmured worriedly. This situation was strange. It was like having countless lives. Unless the God King of Destruction could directly destroy the life origin, even if his head was blown up, Wang Feng's soul crystal core would still be there, and he would be able to recover quickly. This life origin was completely unreasonable. The life energy inside was simply too terrifying. They were not the only ones who felt strange. At this moment, even the God King of Destruction felt strange. The more he fought, the stranger he felt. He even wondered if he had cultivated in the divine realm all these years in vain. Once again, Wang Feng was blasted away. He watched as his opponent's body recovered quickly. The God King of Destruction's face darkened. "Hurry up!" Wang Feng shouted. "Don't stop. Come over and beat me up. Are you a god or not? Stop being so wishy-washy. Your attacks are getting slower and slower." The God King of Destruction was speechless. Wang Feng's breathing was a little rapid. His skin was crystal clear like jade with a faint luster. But Wang Feng knew. Too powerful. This life essence was simply too powerful. The life energy in his body had nowhere to go. If this continued, it would be as he had expected. In the end, he could only be blown up. When every cell in his body was blown up by this energy, the pain and premonition of death were the most troublesome. Therefore, Wang Feng could only let the God King of Destruction quickly blow himself up, consume a part of the life energy in his body. But he did not know when this would end. Wang Feng originally thought that when he reached level 100, he should be able to withstand the energy of 2 fused pieces. He did not expect it to be so exaggerated. Sure enough, the God King of the Stellar Transformation World was too strong. However, the God King of Destruction narrowed his eyes and looked at Wang Feng. What kind of insight did he have? Looking at Wang Feng's current situation, he naturally noticed that something was wrong. But this kind of provocation, he took it. "If I don't beat you to a pulp today, I am not the God King of Destruction." Destruction's expression was cold. He actually had another plan in mind. This mortal's aura was very similar to his wife's. He should be useful to his wife, the life goddess of the God realm. Thinking of this, the 9 divine halos on the God King of Destruction flickered again. Even if this plane was destroyed, he would still kill this criminal. The moment his strength was unlocked, space collapsed. A purple scepter that was twice the length of a staff appeared in the God King of Destruction's hand. This scepter exuded an extremely destructive will. The moment it appeared, the surrounding space began to collapse at an even faster rate. Tang San and the others were aghast and retreated in all directions. Tang San felt that the purple scepter was much stronger than Poseidon's trident. Tang San exclaimed in shock, "Above the divine artifact is a super divine artifact? Could it be that the God King of Destruction wanted the Douluo world to disappear? Alright. Looking at the scepter, Wang Feng knew that the God King of Destruction was going to use his full strength. After exploding a few more times, his entire body was now filled with life energy, and he couldn't use it. Wang Feng did not want to be the first person to self-destruct because of a Goldfinger. That would be too tragic. However, at this moment, a cold voice sounded from the sky. "Destruction, do you want to destroy this world? Stop. Don't break the rules of the Heavenly Realm Committee." In the distant sky, a man in blood-red armor with a cold expression slowly appeared with a fluctuation in space. At the same time, there were 3 people beside him. Each of them exuded an incomparably powerful aura. Poseidon stood at the back. Wang Feng looked at these people. The man who spoke was exuding a strong murderous aura, pure murderous aura. It was a murderous aura that could shatter space. There was also an aura similar to that of Little 3. Azura God? Wang Fengxin guessed. Of the other 3, one of them also exuded a strong life energy. It was a woman in a green dress. The other 2, a man and a woman, looked calm. One was in a black robe, and the other was in a white dress. Could it be that they were all God Kings? Wang Fengxin said. Am I that influential? How could I provoke these god kings to kill me? At this moment, the woman in the green dress and the woman in the white dress looked at the countless cracks in space and frowned slightly. Then, they gently raised their hands. Their palms exuded a gentle energy that repaired the cracks in space. What are you doing here? The God King of Destruction looked at the group, withdrew his purple scepter, and said coldly, We are about to destroy the traitor's successor. Is that so? The man in black looked at Wang Feng in surprise. Why do I feel that he is fine? The wounds on your body have just healed? The God King of Destruction. The God King of Destruction snorted. Little Z, what's going on? At this moment, the green-haired woman gently floated to the front of the God King of Destruction and whispered, Why is this child's aura so strange? Is he really the traitor's successor? Little Z? Wang Feng looked at the God King of Destruction and vomited. But 5 God Kings. For some reason, Wang Fengxin was not afraid. He was more afraid that the life energy in his body would explode. The God King of Destruction shook his head slightly. Of course he is human, but this human is strange. First, he defeated the killing god, then he killed Pride in one move, leaving only his divine soul. If he wants to recover, it will take many years. He can only find a successor. Hearing this, the God Kings were shocked. Are you kidding? The Shura god looked at the God King of Destruction. The God King of Destruction and the God King of Destruction were the ones who proposed to kill the traitor. But in reality, the God King of Destruction was in charge of the specifics. He secretly ordered a few of the God King's successors to kill the traitor of the heavenly realm. Because gods usually could not descend to the mortal world to attack mortals, they could only order the God King's successors to kill Wang Feng. But he did not expect this to happen. The killing god was a second-level god, and was considered his subordinate. The pride god was a first-level god. But he was killed by the traitor's successor in one move? The Shura god's gaze fell on Wang Feng, and he was shocked when he sensed it. Little Z, why is this traitor's aura so similar to yours? The woman in the white dress looked at Wang Feng in surprise. It's just that, he does have the aura of the traitor. That's strange. With their strength, they could tell at a glance. The God King of Destruction had used a divine artifact and alerted them, so they came here. The God King of Destruction looked at the woman in the white dress with displeasure. Chapter 10:28. At this moment, the woman in the green dress next to him looked at Wang Feng and suddenly said with uncertainty, Something's not right. Something's wrong, little Z. Although his aura is similar to mine, it's different from mine. However, his life energy contains a powerful life law. It seems stronger than my life law. It's very likely that he came from a higher life form. Hearing this, the other God Kings were shocked. This woman in the green dress was not simple. She was the goddess of life. She was one of the oldest existences in the God Realm Committee, a senior figure. The God King of Destruction frowned and said nothing. He had the same feeling earlier, but he did not want to say it out loud. I'll kill him and take out the life law for you, the God King of Destruction said indifferently. He's the successor of the traitor of the God Realm. With that, the 9 divine halos on the God King of Destruction's body appeared again. No, the Goddess of Life said hurriedly. This life law is another level of law to me. If my life law represents the vastness of the world, then his life law is the sea of stars above the world. Even if you give it to me, I may not be able to bear it. Moreover, this law belongs to him. If we take it by force, it's very likely that it will explode. It'll be even more troublesome then. He's not dead yet because this law seems to have just merged. Moreover, he seems to be very special. He's using a special method to vent this life energy. At this point, the God King of Destruction seemed to have thought of something, and the corner of his mouth twitched. Ha 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 ha. Destruction, Someone as arrogant as you actually fell for a mortal's trick today? You fought with this human for a long time just now. I'm afraid he's using your power to vent this life energy, right? The man in black let out a sinister laugh. Kid. The God King of Destruction looked at Wang Feng, his eyes flashing red. He had a premonition just now. However, he did not expect it to be true. Someone dared to plot against him? And use him? After living for so many years, this was the first time he had encountered such a thing. Cut the crap. If you want to kill me, then hurry up. Wang Feng looked at the God Kings, and the life energy in his body began to riot. Arrogant. The god of Azura's expression was cold. You're somewhat similar to that traitor. Hearing this, Wang Fengxin's heart skipped a beat. He had heard the word traitor several times. It probably had something to do with the angels of light and dark. Could it be that the angel of light and dark used to be one of the big shots in the celestial realm, and then betray the god realm? If that was the case, then everything made sense. At the very least, Wang Feng understood why the divine world wanted to kill him. What do we do now? The black-robed man pondered for a moment. According to the great calamity recorded in the history of our god realm, that traitor was even more troublesome than the dragon god. Why don't we gather the power of us 5 great divine kings and exterminate this guy? No matter how strong his life force is, he doesn't seem to be able to use it. He can only use it to heal himself. We should be able to destroy him, right? The others remained silent. For a moment they all felt that it was ridiculous. The dignified 5 great supreme divine kings of the divine realm were actually going to join hands to deal with a human from the lower planes? Wang Feng was not afraid. Since he had merged with the meteoric tier, they would die regardless of whether they attacked or not. Wang Feng felt that he was about to lose control of the life energy in his body. I don't think we need to do anything at all. The white-robed woman was speechless. He doesn't seem to be able to control the life force in his body. Even Little Green can't easily comprehend the laws of life. It's even more impossible for him to comprehend them. Wouldn't everything be solved if we just let him self-destruct? No. The heavenly life goddess shook her head. As I said, the life force in his body contains powerful laws of life. Once he self-destructs, this world will be destroyed. Our god realm will also be greatly affected. The other 4 god kings were all stunned when they heard this. Their eyes were filled with shock. That exaggerated? Life. The heavenly life goddess sighed softly. The pinnacle of life is destruction. The self-destruction of a middle-level life force is even more powerful than mine. Then what do we do? The white-robed woman was speechless. How troublesome. Based on what you said, we can't just let him die. Why don't we just forget about it? He just has a bit of that traitor's aura. Besides, no. The Azura god and the destruction god said in unison. We can't let go of any possibility. Otherwise, the god realm will be plunged into misery and suffering. Heh. The white-robed woman shrugged. Destruction, your wife originally voted against it. If it wasn't for the fact that she didn't want to go against you, your decision might not have been approved. Don't you want to ask your wife why she opposed this decision of yours and the Azura god? As she spoke, the white-robed woman walked to the black-robed man's side. The destruction god was slightly taken aback. He looked at the heavenly life goddess. Little Green, you. The destruction god king looked at her. The Azura god also looked at the heavenly life goddess. When this decision was made, the 5 divine kings, him, the destruction god, and the evil god, had all voted in favor of it. The goodness god had voted against it. In fact, the heavenly life goddess had also voted against it. But later, she changed her mind. Do you still remember the origin tribulation god king? The heavenly life goddess sighed softly. That traitor was also one of the origin tribulation god king's original powers. After he fell, he became the most powerful one. This human's talent is extraordinary. I don't think I need to say more. If he really did inherit that traitor's power, perhaps he would have a chance to become the Origin Tribulation God King? Hearing the words Origin Tribulation God King, the other 4 divine kings were stunned. Wang Feng also vaguely understood something. Impossible, the Azura god said in a low voice. How could he become the Origin Tribulation God King? That Origin Tribulation God King's 16 original powers disintegrated long ago. 14 of them had even become gods. The other 2 became the 6-winged Light Angel God and the 6-winged Dark Angel God. When the Dark Angel betrayed the God realm, she obtained an even greater power and evolved into a 12-winged Dark Angel. But she only inherited a portion of the Origin Tribulation God King's power. It's impossible for her to become the Origin Tribulation God King. The Destruction God King nodded slightly. However, the Heavenly Life Goddess shook her head. Azura God, the Angel God and I have learned that this human is very special. He is different from the Origin Tribulation God King. He relied on his own cultivation to obtain 7 different original powers of the 12-winged Dark Angel God. He also passed the test of the Angel Illusion Realm and the test of the Angel God. He obtained 7 different original powers. He walked step by step. He is completely different from the Origin Tribulation God King, who was born from the fusion of the universe. He possesses extraordinary wisdom and strength, as well as unparalleled talent. I don't think you're aware of this, but you can't deny it. Chapter 10:29. The Azura god nodded in agreement. This human was able to kill a first-grade god as a soul master. This was impossible even in the god realm. One could only imagine how incredible his talent and strength were. The goddess of life said, as long as he can fuse with these 14 God King's origin energies, he has at least a 50% chance of becoming the Origin Tribulation God King. The goddess of life's voice trailed off. Wang Fengxin's heart skipped a beat. How did the God Kings get involved? His angel of light and dark martial soul seemed a little special. Could he really be one of the big shots of the God realm? That's impossible, right? The black-robed man exclaimed. Then how can he fuse them? The Origin Tribulation God King's 14 origin energies have all become gods. How can he fuse with them? Without a special method, even God Kings like us can't fuse 2 mutually exclusive origin energies at will. This human might have found a way, the white-robed woman said in a low voice. That's incredible. All we sensed was the aura of the 12-winged dark fallen angel. That's why I kept my vote, because I thought it was possible. If that's the case, having an Origin Tribulation God King in the God realm is a great thing for us. The Azura God and the Destruction God King remained silent. If that's the case, we can cancel this decision, the Goddess of Life said in a low voice. God Azura said in a deep voice, Life Goddess, do you mean that you want us to help him? The Goddess of Life nodded. Think about it. If the Origin Tribulation God King was still around, would the Dragon God have been able to attack the God realm and pose such a threat to us? The 4 God Kings fell silent. They knew that if the Origin Tribulation God King was still around, the Dragon God wouldn't have had a chance to attack the God Realm Committee, let alone the war that followed. The Dragon God would have been suppressed directly. He wouldn't have had a chance. And the Golden Dragon King wouldn't have been imprisoned. The God Realm needs a stronger force to protect itself. Azura God, you and the Sea God have chosen Tang San. He might be able to carry the banner of the God Realm in the future. The God Realm needs a true pillar as the Realm Guardian God King. Otherwise, if the God Realm encounters another catastrophe in the future, the Goddess of Life looked at the Destruction God King. To them, a great disaster was something they could faintly foresee. If he really can fuse with one of the 7 origin powers of the Origin Tribulation Deity King, then we'll withdraw our decision. God King of Destruction glanced at Wang Feng and said expressionlessly, we can help him. If he can't prove it, He doesn't have the potential. Wang Fengxin's heart moved again. The origin tribulation divine king. Could it be that the angels of light and dark represented the origin tribulation divine king? At this moment, the life goddess looked at Wang Feng and said in a gentle voice, "Human, although we want to kill you, we have a reason. Do you know what one of your martial spirits represents?" Wang Feng sneered and said, "A traitor has appeared in your divine world. This traitor has caused your divine world to suffer heavy losses. Then you sense the traitor's aura on me? You think I'm his successor? Not bad." The heavenly life goddess nodded slightly. "Furthermore, what you've inherited is 1/16 of the origin energy of one of the most powerful and unruly god kings of the past. However, it is also the most powerful type, the 12-winged dark fallen angel." Wang Feng was speechless. The system has indeed given me something good. But is that really the case? The origin tribulation divine king contained 14 types of origin energy. Over the endless years, he merged these 14 types of energy into 7 types. After countless years of cultivation, he became the first god king of the divine world. The life goddess continued. Later, due to certain reasons, this god king disintegrated and turned into 14 types of origin energy. On the basis of these 14 types of origin energy, 2 of the most powerful types were derived. They became the 6-winged angel of light, which represented holiness and purity, and the 6-winged dark angel, which represented evil and cunning. Later, this 6-winged dark angel betrayed the divine world in order to obtain greater power. He fell into the abyss and became a god king. However, because of his great power, he lost his mind and caused chaos in the divine world. At that time, we gathered the 4 god kings to destroy this fallen dark angel god king. We didn't expect you to possess his power. You even used his power as a fulcrum to successfully absorb the power of the 7 origin gods controlled by the angel god. At first, we thought you had become a 12-winged dark fallen angel, so we wanted to destroy you. However, the 12-winged dark fallen angel is also one of the origin energy of the origin tribulation divine king. He has the potential to become the origin tribulation divine king. You, on the other hand, have absorbed the power of the 7 origin gods of the angel god. If you can fuse these 14 types of origin energy and combine them with the new 6-winged angel god, you will definitely become a god king. This means that you have the qualifications to become the origin tribulation divine king. The life goddess looked at Wang Feng. Origin tribulation divine king? I don't care, Wang Feng said. Do you think you can just kill me when you want to, and recruit me when you want to? Wang Feng laughed. The life goddess was speechless. You. The destruction god king looked coldly at Wang Feng. Human, you have already violated the rules of the Divine World Committee by killing a god. If not for the importance of the origin tribulation divine king, do you think I would give you this choice? I need to choose. Wang Feng said calmly. Come and fight? Do you think I'm afraid of you? Also, you wanted to kill me, but I killed you instead. You can only blame yourselves for that. The destruction god king's pupils constricted, and the power of the destruction soul surged out of him. Below, Tang San and his group were already in a state of disarray. Tang San knew that the sea god, Poseidon, was standing behind the 4 of them without saying a word. These 4 must be god kings as well. He didn't expect that they would all come. Moreover, from the looks of it, they had changed from wanting to kill Wang Feng to wanting to recruit him. Hey, where is the dignity of the divine world? Brother Feng is really arrogant, Xiao Wu whispered. He is probably the only one who dares to call the divine world trash. Tang San shook his head with a wry smile. He was now considered a member of the divine world. Thinking of this, Tang San glanced at Qian Renxue and Bibidan and frowned slightly. At this moment, the life goddess hurriedly said, Little Z, don't quarrel. Talk to him. The Destruction God King listened to the Life Goddess. He snorted and turned his head away from Wang Feng. Human, you are in a bad situation now, right? The Life Goddess said slowly. Your body contains powerful life energy, which contains the profound law of life. It is impossible for you to comprehend it in a short time. This energy is even stronger than my law of life. If this goes on, you will explode soon. No one can help you. You provoked us and wanted to beat you up, but that was just to vent your life energy. But this will only work for a short time. It can't be cured. You need time and others to suppress it for you. Chapter 10:30. Wang Feng was silent. That was indeed the case. We can help you, the Life Goddess said. Only the God Kings can help you. We are the God Realm Committee. There are many planes below the God Realm. What we did to you before was not only to protect the safety of the God Realm Committee, but also to protect the safety of many other planes. It's not for our own selfish reasons. Hope you'd better consider it. Because to us, if you don't agree, you will self-destruct. The entire Douluo world will be destroyed because of you. Although the God realm will be affected, it won't be destroyed. The Life Goddess was telling the truth. Wang Feng looked at the 5 God Kings. Each of them exuded a powerful aura. They didn't seem to be in their current state, pretending to be powerful. After thinking for a long time, Wang Feng glanced at Qian Rinshu and Bibidon, and recalled Rongrong, who was inheriting the godhood. Okay. Wang Feng nodded slowly. What do you want me to do? Very simple. The Life Goddess smiled. The Destruction God King snorted. Azura God was silent, as if sizing up Wang Feng. The other two also smiled and looked at Wang Feng curiously. As long as you can inherit the Origin Tribulation God King, the Life Goddess explained. As long as you can comprehend and fuse the Origin Tribulation God King's 7 origin powers, the Angel God must have told you, right? As long as you can fuse one, it means you have truly embarked on the path to becoming the Origin Tribulation God King. You have the ability to inherit the Origin Tribulation God King. How many have you fused? Hearing this, the 4 God Kings looked at Wang Feng in unison. Human, if you don't have one, it's fine. You have all the time in the world. The woman in white smiled faintly. Is it very difficult to fuse? Wang Feng didn't answer and asked casually. Of course it is. The man in black shook his head. The Origin Tribulation God King was the first God King before the God Realm Committee was established, and he fused 14 origin powers. As for the 7 origin powers, each of them is not simple. And he was able to fuse them because he was the origin spirit born by the God of creation. Those 14 strands of origin energy are the origin energy that was split from the 5 of us when we were born. You can imagine how difficult it is to fuse them together. Let alone humans, even us God Kings are unable to fuse with them. Hearing this, Wang Feng nodded. It was really unfathomable. Brat, if you can fuse 1 Dao in 10,000 years in the mortal world, you will be qualified to become the Origin Tribulation God King. Your talent is worthy of recognition. You are comparable to us, the God King of Destruction said indifferently. Hearing this, Wang Feng said in surprise, Can fusing 1 Dao in 10,000 years compare to you? Aren't you all trash? The God King of Destruction sneered, and was about to mock this human for overestimating himself. In the next moment, 6 purple origin runes appeared on Wang Feng's body. Purple origin runes appeared clearly on Wang Feng's body, shining brightly. It was eye-piercing. Unfortunately, I've already fused 6 of them. Wang Feng sighed. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to use them. Oh, there's another one that fused together after you pierced through his body. In an instant, the 5 gods were stunned. This really is the Origin Tribulation God King's origin energy. Azura deity's eyes shone like torches. He looked at Wang Feng with a burning gaze. This human's talent was indeed frightening. The old sea god had not been protecting this human in vain. Just now. How did you fuse them? The god king of destruction was stunned. Suddenly, he looked at the Qianrenxue and Bibidon. Could it be that at that time, after Wang Feng was pierced through by him, he was on his last breath? Basically, he was not far from death. The two of them took it, and then the two newly ascended gods poured their power into Wang Feng. The god king of destruction thought that they wanted to save him. Of course, he would not give them the chance. So, he took away their divine power. Unexpectedly, this brat had already fused one Dao at that time. How did he do it? Everyone, it seems that he does have the potential to become the Origin Tribulation God King. The life goddess came back to her senses and looked at the others. What do you think? The four of them nodded in unison. Even the God King of Destruction nodded slightly. The life goddess looked at Wang Feng and continued, "Human, you've reached this step and fused 6 origin forces. You're only one Dao away. You can condense a source core, which is the true origin of the Origin Tribulation God King. But to become the Origin Tribulation God King, this is only the first step. But now, let's suppress the life energy in your body." She could already see that Wang Feng was like an energy furnace that was about to explode. "What do you plan to do?" Wang Feng asked. The life goddess and the other god kings discussed. "For now, there's only one way." The life goddess pondered. "We'll seal you temporarily with the power of law of the 5 god kings and give you enough time to comprehend the law of life within. And you can only rely on yourself to comprehend it. At the same time, we need to suppress the life energy in your body for a while. Stabilize it first." Wang Feng was stunned. This was within his conjecture. The meteoric tear could not be split in half again. He did not have the strength to do so, and neither did the 5 god kings. They could only seal it temporarily to prevent it from self-destructing. As for how long it will take, it depends on when you finish comprehending it, the life goddess said slowly. And it's best to seal it in the mortal world. Because if it's in the deity realm, you won't be able to withstand the energy there. The flow of time in the mortal world is much slower than in the deity realm. You have plenty of time. What do you think? Wang Feng pondered for a long time, feeling the violent energy in his body, and finally nodded. He could not think of any way to solve this problem at the moment. If he did not fuse with it then, he would die. In that case, there's no time to lose. Choose a place. The life goddess shook her head. If you have anyone else in this world, or if you have anything to tell them, you should hurry. I can tell you very clearly that the comprehension of the law of life is not something that can be achieved in a short time. Moreover, the law of life in your body is of a higher level than mine. This will take a very long time. Moreover, you have to suppress and stabilize this energy before you can comprehend it. Even this will take hundreds of years or even thousands of years. If you have relatives in this world, we can give you time to solve this problem. Boy, don't waste our time, the Destruction God King said indifferently. Although the deity realm lost a god, it could not be said that he was dead. His divine soul was still there. Moreover, compared to the Origin Tribulation God King, not to mention one, even if several of them died, it would be worth it. I'm a little curious. At this time, Wang Feng suddenly asked, "If I become the Origin Tribulation God King and refuse to listen to you, and instead betray the deity realm, wouldn't you suffer a great loss?" However, the life goddess smiled slightly and said, "The deities also have rules to abide by. When the time comes, you only need to join the deity realm committee in advance. Even if you are only in name and not in the deity realm, you will still be restricted by the deity realm committee. However, this restriction will not be very strong. For the deity kings, they only need to maintain the order and stability of the deity realm." Wang Feng understood. "Very well, let me explain for a few days." Wang Feng sighed softly and looked at Qianrenxue and Bibidon. "No problem. The life goddess nodded slightly. Then, the 5 deity kings placed a simple seal that would probably last for a few days before disappearing. At this time, Wang Feng finally heard the long-lost jingle in his mind. Congratulations to the host for perfectly passing the last checkpoint. P.S. This is a little late. Chapter 1031. In the Sky. The many spatial cracks caused by the battle were also repaired by the 5 godly kings. In the sky, the 5 godly kings disappeared as the spatial crack disappeared. Wang Feng touched the 5 shining rays of light in his heart. It was only a temporary law and was not stable. Temporarily sealing the life origin in his heart made him feel much better. The life energy in his body could not be absorbed by others. This thing could not be comprehended, and he could not absorb it. Those godly kings might not be able to absorb it. As these 5 seals were temporary, they wouldn't last for long. Apart from that, the 5 godly kings also set an example. With the life goddess as the leader, they used her life law to help his broken soul bones recover. His 2 million-year soul rings also reverted back to their original golden color. This was not difficult for the godly kings, especially the life goddess. After all, these were just soul rings and soul equipment, not divine rings and divine equipment. If the divine rings wanted to recover, it would not be so easy. The only thing that worried Wang Fengxin was that the souls of the evil dragon and Lin Lord Bingmu in the soul rings needed a long time to recover. But at this moment, the long-lost voice of the system in his mind made Wang Feng miss it. Congratulations to the host for a perfect check-in. You changed the ending and survived. Reward. Half of the esoteric word. Unlocking the Godhood chapter. Godhood chapter, Godhood, the peak of the universe, the ancestor of all things. The system's voice was still so beautiful. The Godhood chapter, it seemed that the system was following his rhythm. Wang Fengxin said. But with the strength of his 3 martial souls, even if he was about to become a god, he would not be a normal god like the God Realm Committee, right? Just the Angel of Light and Dark alone could become the Origin Tribulation Godly King. Then what would the Chaotic Green Lotus and Pangu Axe become? In terms of strength, the Chaotic Green Lotus and Pangu Axe, as martial souls, were much stronger than the Angel of Light and Dark. The Godhood chapter was named after a chapter. Presumably, his godhood would not be as simple as Tang San's. While he was pondering, the system began to speak at a uniform speed. This chapter's check-in is based on the host's godhood. The official check-in will start after the host breaks the seal. Additional reward from the Ascension chapter. The first part of the Peerless Godly Technique I Chi San Qing, self-comprehended. Note: this method allows the martial spirit to evolve into a physical body. The host can figure it out on his own. As the voice slowly faded away, Wang Feng was slightly taken aback. 1 Qi into 3 pure ones, this thing's origin was a bit big. Regardless of whether it was in the countless fantasies or the countless legends, it was a first-rate peerless divine ability. It was extraordinary. Furthermore, according to the system, he could make his martial soul materialize. Did it mean that he could make the chaotic green lotus real? Was that even possible? Wang Feng felt incredulous. Right now, the chaotic green lotus was only a martial spirit, not a real one. If this primal chaos green lotus was real, then this was too frightening. It shouldn't be that simple. The system's reward wasn't very generous, and it didn't increase the age of the soul ring. However, it gave Wang Feng an even grander possibility. After thinking for a moment, Wang Feng landed in front of Tang San and the others again. At this moment, the few of them were still in a daze. What happened? Qian Renxue was the first to ask. She was really curious. What were Wang Feng and those gods discussing? Why did he stop fighting after fighting for so long? And the energy fluctuation on Wang Feng's body just now, why did it disappear? The others also looked at Wang Feng. At this moment, as the 5 divine kings left, the people in Martial Spirit City below began to wake up. If it was a commoner, it would take a few more days for him to recover. It's a bit complicated. Wang Feng thought for a moment and said, I'll tell you in detail later. I know that you have a lot of questions in your hearts now. However, this battle is over for the time being. As if thinking of something, Wang Feng's eyes flashed. Although the 5 divine kings of the Divine Realm Committee would help him, in reality, only they knew what they were thinking. As for the Origin Tribulation Divine King, Wang Feng only half believed him. He heard that they were very powerful, and the purple origin lines of the Angel of Light and Dark Martial Soul were indeed not bad. Whether the Origin Tribulation Divine King was really such a person, he would only know when he really became a god. As for the future, when he joined the Divine Realm Committee, it wouldn't be so easy to restrain him. If Wang Feng comprehended the law of life, he became a god with the chaotic green lotus martial soul. That meant that he created his own deity position. However, to become a god with the chaotic green lotus martial soul, he needed to comprehend the law of life and break through the boundary, which was very difficult, because it was indeed not easy to comprehend the law of life. His other 2 martial souls didn't have soul rings attached to them, especially the Angel of Light and Dark Martial Soul. If the purple origin lines of the Angel of Light and Dark Martial Soul were really the origin power of the Origin Tribulation Divine King, it meant that he could also become a god. In addition to the Pangu Axe Martial Soul, if he really became a god, he would definitely create his own deity position. This meant that Wang Feng would have 3 deity positions, and each one was more terrifying than the last. However, the difficulty of each one was also greater than the last. The easiest one now should be the Angel of Light and Dark Martial Soul. The hardest ones were the Pangu Axe Martial Soul and the Chaotic Green Lotus. However, this kind of difficulty was just a guess. In fact, the Origin Tribulation Divine King's deity position was many times more difficult than the other deity positions. Brother Feng, do you know who you were fighting with just now? Tang San asked carefully. Isn't it just a god? Wang Feng said. Tang San said with a wry smile, that's not an ordinary god. That's one of the 5 supreme divine kings of the God Realm Committee. The other 4 who came down just now must also be one of them. Supreme Divine Kings. Qian Renxue was slightly startled. No wonder they had such terrifying power. These gods are really too much. They actually came down to bully Brother Feng. Xiao Wu shook her head and said, But Brother Feng, did you trick them again? Otherwise, why didn't the other 4 Supreme Divine Kings attack you after they appeared? Wang Feng, what is this? What trick? If they want to trick someone, it's the God Realm who's tricking me. Wang Feng glared at Xiao Wu. Xiao Wu giggled. I rushed over in a hurry because I wanted to help you. Tang San clenched the trident in his hand. Who knew that he couldn't even do anything? Brother Feng directly fought with the Supreme Divine Kings. Wang Feng patted Tang San's shoulder and said, No, you came at the right time. At least you brought Zhu Qing here. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to fuse with the meteoric tear. At this time, as the 5 Supreme Divine Kings dispersed, Ma Hongjun and the others, who had been in the distance, flew over. Chapter 1032. Wang Feng. Zhu Qing couldn't suppress the throbbing in her heart. When the meteoric tear disappeared, her heart felt empty, but she also felt happy. Because she knew that this thing would definitely be of help to Wang Feng. For her, it wasn't a big loss. The meteoric tear had already helped her a lot. Unknowingly, it had changed her into the strongest existence among the 7 monsters, except for Tang San. She was the strongest in terms of talent and strength. Zhu Qing took the initiative to pounce on Wang Feng, which was rare. Wang Feng suddenly felt 2 cold gazes, like bone-piercing icicles, landing on his back. But Wang Feng looked calm. He hugged Zhu Zhuqing's shoulder and patted it gently. Is there anything wrong with your body? When Wang Feng fused, he took this into consideration, but Zhu Zhuqing had already become a titled Doulu. Even if the meteoric tear disappeared, it wouldn't affect her much. Zhu Zhuqing shook her head gently. As if it wasn't enough, she hugged him a little tighter. Seeing this, Qian Rinxue clenched his hands. She suddenly looked at Bibidan. But she found that Bibidan's expression was cold and calm, as if he didn't see it. At this moment, Tang San and Xiao Wu's eyes fell on Bibidan. In an instant, the air seemed to be a little more solemn. Dai Mubai, Ma Hongjun, and the others also looked at Bibidan. The Martial Spirit Hall's Pope, who had disappeared for a year and was thought to be dead, was not dead but had become the Rakshasa god. Did this mean that the Martial Spirit Alliance was going to be reshuffled? With the Pope's ruthlessness, would he allow the Martial Spirit Alliance to exist in the current state? Also, Shi, Tang San, Xiao Wu, and their hatred what? Do you want to deal with me with just the few of you? Bibidan looked around at everyone. Her powerful aura was like that of a high and mighty empress. Only the sea god Tang San, who had become a god, could resist this aura. She naturally noticed Tang San's hostility at the first moment. Qian Rinxue frowned slightly and remained silent. Their current relationship was very complicated. She didn't have any grudges with these people. Tang San looked at the Bibidan. Xiao Wu was also looking at him with anger in her eyes. However, he was still struggling. Bibidan, do you think I'm afraid of you? Tang San snorted and pointed his golden trident at Bibidan. Xiao Wu held Tang San's hands tightly. However, Bibidan's face revealed a cold smile. However, he had an unparalleled aura, as well as the peerless elegance of a pope. Tang San, if I want to kill you, I'll kill you. You wouldn't have survived until now, do you know that? Bibidan said plainly. Back in the Great Star Do Forest, if not for Wang Wu, you would already be dead. Hearing this, Tang San was stunned and seemed to understand something. He looked at the Bibidan and said in a deep voice, You didn't die in the Great Star Do Forest? He really didn't understand how Bibidan, who was so weak at that time, could survive such a powerful attack. No, I died. Bibidan turned around as if he didn't want to confront them anymore. But I also survived. Do you want to know why? Then go and ask the one next to you. At this point, Wang Feng suddenly coughed and interrupted. Xiao San, Xiao Wu, I know about the grudges between you and her. But the situation is different now. You've killed her once. She is no longer the Pope of the Martial Spirit Palace. Wang Feng looked at Tang San and Xiao Wu. If there is a grudge between you, you should let it go, right? Otherwise, if you fight, it will be difficult to determine the winner. Besides, you are both gods. Once you fight, it will have a great impact on the current situation. Indeed, the situation was no longer the same as before. Tang San, Xiao Wu, and Bibidan did have a life-and-death grudge. But Bibidan did die at that time. In fact, when Tang San swung the halberd, most of the hatred in his heart did dissipate. When Xiao Wu learned the news later, it was the same. The grudge was actually avenged. Tang San looked at Wang Feng and seemed to understand something. He recalled all kinds of things, including the halberd in the Great Star Do Forest. He was a person who clearly distinguished between gratitude and grudges. That halberd did kill Bibidan. But he was saved by someone. This person could only be Brother Feng. Why Brother Feng? Tang San frowned and asked in confusion. She wanted to kill you at that time. Why did you save her? Wang Feng was stunned. He knew that Tang San had misunderstood a lot of things. Immediately, he briefly explained the situation in the Great Star Do Forest. You said you worked with her to defeat that million-year soul beast. After listening, Tang San was stunned. So all his speculations at that time were all wrong? Tang San broke out in a cold sweat, but he also understood a little. Xiao Wu was also stunned after hearing it. Because when she was still Tang San's soul ring, She also knew the situation at that time. The two were silent for a long time. Even if we let it go, can she let it go? Xiao Wu frowned and said. Her mother became Bibidan's soul ring. This was her greatest hatred and the source of all her hatred. But Bibidan died once, and her hatred was reduced by more than half. In addition, the situation now was different. With Brother Feng's mediation, they could let it go. Could Bibidan? This was a ruthless, vengeful, and ambitious woman. Bibidan snorted coldly. If I can't let it go, Tang San wouldn't have had the chance to leave the great Star Do forest when I was resurrected. After Bibidan was resurrected, she had completely changed. In other words, the meaning and goal of her life at that time was no longer the hatred with Tang San. Tang San was silent. That was indeed the case. If Bibidan was resurrected at that time, with her strength, it was indeed impossible for him to leave alive. When the others heard this, they all felt that it was unbelievable. They didn't expect that there was such a story that was misunderstood by Tang San. After Bibidan finished speaking, she disappeared in midair and flew to the Pope's palace in the distance. Qian Renxue glanced at Wang Feng and also flew away. Captain, why do I feel? Ma Hongjun looked at the backs of the two, recalling what he had just heard and the scene outside the martial spirit city. It seems a little different. Tang San and Xiao Wu were silent. Ma Hongjun and the others were outside the martial spirit city at that time, so they didn't see it clearly. But Tang San and Xiao Wu saw it too clearly. Xiao Wu transmitted her voice. Brother, that Bibidan wouldn't do something to Brother Feng, and that Qian Renxue, do you feel it? Tang San coughed a few times and nodded slightly. This is too unbelievable. Xiao Wu shook her head and said, I hope we are wrong. Tang San glanced at Wang Feng. He could understand a little. Brother Feng did so many big things in the Pope's palace, and in the end, he was able to save Bibidan. This was not impossible. The strong were attracted to each other. Moreover, it was Brother Feng again? It was just, this was too exaggerated. It shouldn't be. I hope it was just an illusion. Chapter 1033. After discussing for a while, they landed in Martial Spirit City and rested for a while. However, the battle just now had spread far and wide. At this time, order in Martial Spirit City had just been restored. The group found a secluded place. They discussed and talked. Wang Feng didn't hide anything and told them about the seal he was going to seal. However, about the meteoric tear, it was a little rough. After everyone heard it, they were a little stunned. In that case, Captain, won't you need a long time? Ma Hongjun scratched his head. Those godly kings shook hands with you to prevent you from exploding from the life energy in your body and destroying this world? Those people from the godly world want to kill you. Third brother told us about it on the way. It's because your martial soul is the power of a traitor from the godly world. Wow, how long will it take? The group discussed. Tang San frowned slightly. The life energy in Brother Feng's body was something even godly kings couldn't solve. It also contained the power of laws. In other words, unless Brother Feng comprehended these laws, it would be difficult for him to become a god. And those laws, if godly kings could comprehend them, they definitely wouldn't let Brother Feng go. This meant that those godly kings couldn't comprehend these laws. Even if Brother Feng's talent was too strong, who knew how long it would take? However, the more difficult it was, the harder it was to imagine how powerful Brother Feng would be after becoming a god. Not to mention becoming a god, when Brother Feng really reached level 100, his full strength would be comparable to all godly kings. Once he broke through and comprehended the laws, breaking through the limit of level 100 was unimaginable. Very long. Wang Feng glanced at Zhu Zhuqing hesitantly. However, he only saw Zhu Zhuqing quietly snuggling in his arms. She was soft and fragrant, silent. However, when he said these two words, Wang Feng could feel Zhu Zhuqing's delicate body tremble slightly. He couldn't help but hug her tighter. In the next short period of time, Wang Feng pondered. I'll stay for a while. This period of time might be very short. The main thing was that Wang Feng wanted to find a god position for Zhu Zhuqing. At the same time, he wanted to help the others improve their aptitude. This seal of his would take a long time just to suppress the life energy in his body. In addition, he also needed to comprehend it. It was even harder to say. Wang Feng did not know how long it would take, but he definitely needed to settle the matter of Zhu Zhuqing and the others. Otherwise, he didn't want Zhu Zhuqing and the others to die of old age in the mortal world or something else to happen after he broke out of the seal. For the current Wang Feng or Tang San, this was not very difficult. As for Shaoqing and the others, it was still alright. Soul beasts had much longer lifespans than humans. Other than that, there was the Martial Soul Alliance. Now that Bibidon was back, they could discuss the future of the continent. Unification was inevitable. I will stay on the continent for a while. Tang San looked at Xiao Wu with a gentle expression. I promised Xiao Wu that I would accompany her for a while before going to the Divine World. We'll be observing the situation of the Martial Soul Alliance over the next few days. Big Brother Feng, you spent so much effort to unify the continent. After you seal it, we naturally can't relax. At the very least, we have to watch it move towards a better direction. I believe that the future Douluo continent will be very exciting. When your seal is broken, you will definitely see a better Douluo world. At that time, everyone and I will be waiting for you in the Divine World. The rest of the people also nodded heavily. Actually, regarding the divine position, we plan to rely on our own strength. At this time, Ma Hongjun said solemnly, Third brother, you are the sea god. I don't want you to help us. It's the same for Captain. Captain's strength is not much weaker than those god kings. If he helps, he will definitely help us obtain the divine position easily. But we feel that we still have to rely on our own strength and opportunities. Ma Hongjun held by Qinxiang's hand. Under the moonlight, the two's eyes shone slightly as they looked at each other. There was a kind of tacit understanding in their eyes. Wang Feng was stunned. For Fatty to work so hard, it seemed that he had changed under the influence of many things. Fatty is right. Although we are brothers, I don't want you to open the back door for us. Dai Mubai had a confident smile on his face. He held Shui Yu-er's hand. After we deal with our own matters, we will go and find the divine position ourselves. Yu-er is the same as me. She doesn't want to lose to her sister. Shui Yu chuckled a few times and looked at Wang Feng. When my sister became the ice god, she and I cultivated in the extreme north for a period of time. We know that the divine position needs to rely on one's own opportunities. If we force it, it will be counterproductive. Seeing this, Wang Feng also smiled. They were worthy of being Shrek's 7 monsters if they could think like this. Tang San also smiled. Indeed, he wanted to help them find some god thrones while he was roaming the continent. As the sea god, he knew a little about the inheritance grounds of the gods on the continent. Even if he didn't know, he would ask Poseidon. It was indeed not difficult. However, if they could rely on their own strength and opportunities to obtain the divine position, it would naturally be the best. I believe in you. Wang Feng nodded slightly. The current Shrek's 7 monsters should be much stronger than in the original work. It was not impossible that some gods would come looking for them personally. Lingqi and I don't need to. Oscar chuckled. Xiao Ao is really lucky. Ma Hongjun looked at him enviously. When Xiao Ao broke through to rank 91 on the Sea God's Island and became a titled Douluo, he was valued by a god. He was praised as the first food-type titled Douluo on the continent. At first glance, he was chosen. Even Lingqi was chosen by a god. Hearing this, Wang Feng thought for a moment. It should be the culinary god, right? Although Shen Lingqi's soul power rank was lower than Oscar's, her talent was not much worse. She was also chosen. Could it be that there were two culinary gods? Moreover, only Shen Lingqi was chosen. It was a little strange. Wang Feng didn't know much about the divine realm, but being chosen was a good thing. Brother Feng, when are you going to marry Zhu Qing? At this moment, Xiao Wu suddenly smiled and asked, I don't need to say more about your relationship, right? We have already decided that we will get married soon. My brother's original plan was to marry me after he became a god. Tiger Dai, Fatty, and Uncle Sausage are all planning to get married soon. If you seal it, will you still marry Zhu Qing and the others? Xiao Wu's use of the word them was quite interesting. It caught Wang Feng off guard for a moment. When everyone heard this, they felt awkward and amused. They looked at Wang Feng with some ridicule. Zhu Zhuqing's face immediately turned red. She said angrily, Xiao Wu, what are you talking about? Wang Feng's situation is so bad now. How can he have time to get married? Chapter 1034. Wang Feng, on the other hand, was extremely calm. However, he felt somewhat helpless in his heart. If he sealed himself as soon as he got married, wouldn't he be living like a widow? This was too unfair to Zhu Zhuqing. Let's wait until we become gods. Wang Feng thought for a moment and glanced at Zhu Zhuqing. After we become gods, we'll get married. Zhu Zhuqing's body trembled slightly. She looked at Wang Feng and nodded gently. After a while, she whispered in Wang Feng's ear, I'll wait for you. Xiao Wu pursed her lips. The group chatted for a long time, but Wang Feng still didn't mention Qianrenxue and Bibidan. Tang San and the others were tactful and didn't ask further. Night. A cool breeze blew and the moonlight was pleasant. Because the order in Martial Spirit City hadn't been restored, they couldn't even find a hotel. At this moment, Wang Feng and Zhu Zhuqing were lying on the top of a big tree in the forest outside Martial Spirit City. With the tree branches as their bed, they looked up at the starry night sky. The others did the same. They each lay in the distance, telling their thoughts to the people next to them. Zhu Qing, I'll accompany you for a few more days until you find the deity position. Otherwise, I won't be at ease, Wang Feng said after some thought. No, I want to find it myself. Zhu Zhuqing shook her head. I don't want to trouble you for everything. Really? You want to find it yourself like them? Wang Feng was a little stunned. But they're all traveling together. It's too troublesome for you to find it alone. Zhu Zhuqing said softly. Are you worried that I won't be able to find it? Why do you have to become gods before you marry me? Wang Feng. This didn't make any logical sense. Well, Wang Feng hesitated for a moment. The main thing is that marrying you now is too unfair to you. It's unfair to begin with. Zhu Zhuqing turned her back to Wang Feng. Will you give up on Rongrong? You won't. So, it's already unfair. What's wrong with you being a little more unfair? Besides, it's not like I don't want to. Zhu Zhuqing's voice was much weaker when she said this. Wang Feng, Wang Fengxin said, there is more than one Rongrong. If I say it out loud, you'll be a fool if you're still willing. Of course, Wang Feng wasn't stupid enough to tell them about Qianrenxue. If Wang Feng said it out loud, it would not be the Azura battlefield. It would probably be hell on earth. At that time, he probably wouldn't be able to get a single one. What do you think? Wang Feng looked at Zhu Zhuqing, who was lying on the tree bed with her back facing him. Her beautiful figure was wrapped in a tight black suit, exuding a moving charm. I want you to marry me now, Zhu Zhuqing said with a trembling voice. I want to be the first. Even if it's just a simple wedding or a promise, it's fine. Wang Feng, Wang Fengxin was startled. He knew that Zhu Zhuqing wanted to completely hand her over to him before he sealed her. Wang Feng was silent for a long time before he said, Okay. When Zhu Zhuqing heard this, she suddenly turned around and looked at Wang Feng with a surprised face. Really? That still young face made Wang Fengxin tremble slightly. Really? Wang Feng nodded. It's my fault. I used becoming a god as an excuse. In fact, I don't want to take responsibility. I'm afraid I'll let you down. Besides, there are too many girls who like me. Hey, it's really troublesome. Zhu Zhuqing's beautiful eyes flashed when she heard the first half of the sentence. Her heart was full of joy. The second half of the sentence changed. Zhu Zhuqing couldn't help but glare at Wang Feng. In fact, Rongrong's words. Wang Feng, although I mind, I can accept it. Zhu Zhuqing moved her body slightly. Her hands involuntarily wrapped around Wang Feng's neck. The distance between them was slightly closer. Her warm breath fell on Wang Feng's face. She could smell a faint fragrance and softness. Wang Feng looked at Zhu Zhuqing. He saw that her light purple eyes were full of affection. Then, he kissed her after entangling for a while. Their lips parted. Zhu Zhuqing's face was flushed. It seemed like only Wang Feng was reflected in her eyes. Her delicate body temperature rose a lot. Wang Feng held her in his arms as if he was holding a piece of warm jade. Wang Feng coughed a few times and asked, "What if there's more than one Rongrong?" Zhu Zhuqing. Because of that kiss, she, who was full of sweetness, was stunned on the spot. After being silent for a long time, Zhu Zhuqing asked in a low voice, "Is there another Hulaina?" Wang Feng thought for a while and shook his head for the time being. "That Qian Renxue?" Only then did Wang Feng nod. Zhu Zhuqing bit her lips and looked at Wang Feng. There was anger in her eyes. But she didn't refuse. "I don't care. You just have to be the first to marry me. This is a promise," Zhu Zhuqing finally said softly. Wang Feng. He didn't say anything else. If he said anything more, it would probably be over. Let's leave it at that for now. Anyway, the rest can be taken slowly in the next few days. Wang Feng accompanied Zhu Zhuqing to play and went to the extreme north. He found Ning Rongrong and told her about this matter. At this time, Ning Rongrong was still inheriting the godhood. It hadn't been long since Wang Feng left. But this time, he brought Zhu Zhuqing with him. Fortunately, only Ning Rongrong and Hulaina were present. She had already passed the 9 tests and officially inherited the godhood of the ice god. It would take a long time. So many things have happened since I left. God Realm. God King Seal. Ning Rongrong curled her lips. Zhuqing, you came together. Did something happen? Zhu Zhuqing's face reddened and she shook her head. In the past few days, Wang Feng brought her here. On the way, he also told her a lot of things about Wang Feng in the extreme north. He kissed and touched a lot. Other than that, he didn't do anything else. I don't believe you. Ning Rongrong giggled. Zhuqing, Wang Feng is about to be sealed. I don't believe you didn't do anything. Let me see. Ning Rongrong walked over to Zhu Zhuqing and sized her up. I really didn't. Zhu Zhuqing took 2 steps back and glared at Ning Rongrong. Forget it. I believe you. Ning Rongrong looked at Wang Feng suspiciously. Wang Feng, how long do you plan to stay here with me? I can't leave. In a few days. Wang Feng said. It's only been a few days. Ning Rongrong said with some dissatisfaction. This seal of yours, according to your calculations, would take at least 1,000 years. My God, even if the divine world passes very quickly, it would still take more than 10 years to complete the seal. Do you want me and Zhuqing to be widows? Just stay with us for a few days. As she spoke, Ning Rongrong's little mouth pouted. Then how long do you want me to stay with you? Wang Feng asked. It doesn't matter how long you stay with me. What's important is the quality. Ning Rongrong giggled. Her face had a hint of charm. Wang Feng was startled. What was this last thinking? Ning Rongrong walked in front of Wang Feng and intimately whispered in his ear. Wang Feng, I want you to marry me now. I don't care about anything else. You must marry me first. I am willing to be a widower for you. I have waited countless lifetimes for you. Wang Feng. Chapter 1035. You are really making things difficult for me. Wang Fengxin says. This girl, why are all of them so troublesome? Hearing Ning Rongrong's sweet words, Wang Feng smiles and says, Okay. I will marry you. Ning Rongrong nods her head in satisfaction. Wang Feng then gives Zhu Zhuqing a look. Zhu Zhuqing smiles and nods her head slightly. Right here. Ning Rongrong points to the water god statue in front and says with a smile, In the future when you become a god, you can hold a grand wedding for me. I want a super grand one. Okay. Wang Feng hugs Ning Rongrong's slender waist and says. The two of them hold a simple wedding in front of the water god statue. Zhu Zhuqing says in her heart, I should marry Wang Feng first. However, I will not say it. I will let Rongrong think so. Wang Feng, in the future, no matter if I live, grow old, get sick, or die, I will never leave you, you love. Ning Rongrong hugs her hands and stands in front of the water god's statue with a longing look on her face with Wang Feng. Before she can finish, Wang Feng knocks on Ning Rongrong's head. Why did you hit me? Ning Rongrong hugs her head and says in grievance. Idiot. When you become a god, how can you live, grow old, get sick, and die? Wang Feng snappily says, You have inherited the water god, so it is even more impossible for you to die. Do you know? Living, growing old, getting sick, and dying, that is something that mortals do. Ning Rongrong is startled. Her face turns red as she lowers her head. Oh right. How could I forget? Then Wang Feng, do you like me? Ning Rongrong whispers with a red face, No matter how long you are sealed for, I will wait for you. Of course you like. Wang Feng lifts Ning Rongrong's chin. What, are you shy now? Not at all. Ning Rongrong slapped Wang Feng's hand away and snorted twice. She hugged Wang Feng's neck and kissed him. At the side, Zhu Zhuqing turned her head slightly. What an annoying scene. Come here for a while. Zhu Zhuqing could hear their breathing quickening. She couldn't help but think to herself, Rongrong is too shameless, kissing for so long. Little did he know that she kissed him even longer each time. Look, Zhuqing is jealous. Ning Rongrong reluctantly separated from Wang Feng. Wang Feng's aura really made her feel comfortable. Zhu Zhuqing blushed and said, I didn't. After saying that, Zhu Zhuqing turned her head. Wang Feng smiled and thought to himself, as expected, these two are the easiest to deal with. At this moment, Wang Feng seemed to have sensed something. He turned around and saw Hulaina standing in the distance, looking at him. His gaze was faint. Her seductive face was still as alluring as ever. Her enchanting figure leaned gently against the door with a smile on her face. Laina, you're back? Ning Rongrong didn't seem to have any intention of leaving Wang Feng's arms. She seemed to be declaring her sovereignty. Hulaina nodded slightly. Her test was almost completed. She had also become a titled Douluo. Her strength was not inferior to Ning Rongrong's at all. It was just that she had taken the 7th examination, not the 9th examination. Wang Feng looked at Hulaina and pondered for a moment. Actually, he didn't need to consider Hulaina's matter, because Bibidon would consider it. As the person who understood Bibidon the most, Wang Feng knew that in Bibidon's heart, Hulaina's position was higher than Qianrenxue to some extent. This was her only disciple, the kind that she raised from a young age. She even raised her by her side. After many years of interaction, it was not an exaggeration to say that she was Bibidon's family. Now that Bibidon had become the Rakshasa god, she naturally wouldn't ignore Hulaina. Zhuqing, I'll bring you to a good place. At this moment, Ning Rongrong suddenly said, This place is a rare hot spring in our absolute ice domain. It happens to be inside the temple and isn't affected by the cold air outside. It's also mixed with god power. It's a treasure land that the water god bestowed upon this place. I'll bring you to take a bath. With that, Ning Rongrong pulled Zhu Zhuqing out. Zhu Zhuqing hesitated for a moment, but still followed. Wang Fengxin said, Rongrong, this girl, was really too considerate and sensible. He was angry and amused at the same time. This girl was very clingy, jealous, and blabbermouth. But when she became sensible, she was really sensible. After the two of them left, only Wang Feng and Hulaina were left in this huge temple. Lord Popediff. Hulaina blushed inexplicably. She tucked her short hair behind her ear. There was a hint of shyness in her eyes, but at that moment she was looking straight at Wang Feng. Hulaina was a little older than Zhu Zhuqing and Ning Rongrong, and looked more mature. Just call me Wang Wu. Wang Feng smiled. After you pass these 7 tests, Xingxing's consciousness should stabilize. At that time, you can go and find your teacher Bibidon. She will help you find a suitable deity position. Your aptitude isn't much worse than Rongrong's. Hulaina was stunned and said softly, Teacher hasn't appeared for a long time. Have you seen her? She took a few steps, and stopped a few meters away from Wang Feng. Hulaina didn't know what happened in the Great Star Do Forest. I've seen her. Wang Feng thought for a moment, then said, My conflict with her has been resolved. Now that the Martial Soul Alliance is established, I'll discuss it with your teacher in a few days. She should give up on her ambition. He said this to take care that Hulaina didn't know much. In reality, Bibidon had already become a god. How could she have any ambition? Is that so? Hulaina was surprised. It would be great if teacher didn't want to kill Wang Wu. Then, Wang Feng gave a simple explanation of how he was going to be sealed. The Light, God Realm, and God Kings were too complicated to explain, and Hulaina had never seen them before. It was too troublesome to explain, so Wang Feng said that he was going to undergo deep cultivation, and would be sealed for many years. No wonder you came here. Hulaina lowered her head and said faintly, You came to bid farewell to Rongrong, right? She looked sad and pursed her lips. Wang Feng nodded slightly. Laina, work hard and become a god as soon as possible. Don't disappoint your teacher. She will definitely find a deity position for you. Hulaina was silent. After a while, she said softly, I will. Wang Feng smiled and walked out of the door. When he reached the door, he heard Hulaina murmur, I will work hard to become a god. I'll wait for you. Wang Feng stopped. It was at this moment that a warm body hugged him. An infatuated voice came from behind. Wang Wu. I like you. Do you know? Every time I see Rongrong training until she's exhausted, I envy her for being able to say, I can't disappoint Wang Feng, I have to work hard. Every time I train until I'm exhausted, I can only say that in my heart. Hulaina sobbed. After Hell's Path, I couldn't forget you. When you wanted to join the Martial Soul Palace, you don't know how happy I was. When teacher wanted to set us up, that was the happiest moment of my life. Later, you rejected me, but I didn't blame you. Although you were pretending at that time, you really stole my heart. Chapter 1036. Later, when we were on the Sea God's Island, I saw my teacher pierce through your heart. Do you know? I wanted to die with you at that time. But I knew that I still had a mission to do. You wanted Tang San and the 2 girls who liked you to leave, so I had to let them leave safely. So I let myself live for the time being. After that, when I met the King of Killers, I didn't want to resist anymore. I just thought that it would be good to die like this. Wang Feng, but you appeared. Although you didn't show up at that time, I knew it was you. I know why you didn't want to show up. Because you were afraid that I would cry and drag you down to do other things. Wang Feng, why are you so smart? So, every time I see you, I try my best not to get in your way, Hulaina murmured. I'm already satisfied to be able to see you. After that, the temple fell silent. After a long time, Wang Feng sighed and said, Then you're too unambitious. Hulaina. Wang Feng turned around and wiped the tears on Hulaina's face. At this time, her fox-like face was beautiful. I'm a playboy. Wang Feng shook his head and said, You don't have to hang yourself on me. Hulaina looked at Wang Feng, held his hand and said softly, Then, if I fall in love with another man and be with another man, will you agree? Of course not, Wang Feng said with a smile. When you said those words, I'm sorry, but you're mine. You can only hang yourself on me for the rest of your life. Hulaina blushed. Hypocrite. Then why did you say those words? However, her heart felt as if it had eaten honey. The sweetness at this moment made Hulaina feel like she was dreaming. People have to be hypocritical. Wang Feng sighed and said, In fact, I want to be so generous, but I can't do it. I'm too much of a playboy, too much of a scumbag. Hulaina covered her mouth and giggled. She hugged Wang Feng and whispered, You're not a scumbag. You're too good. You're already very good to us. Wang Feng, do you really like me? Wang Feng thought for a moment and whispered something in Hulaina's ear. After hearing this, Hulaina's face turned even redder and she let out a whimper. When you were playing the role of Pope Diff Wang Wu, you were arrogant and cold, Hulaina said in a trembling voice. I didn't expect you to be such a person, you bad guy. Do you feel like you've boarded a pirate ship? Do you regret it? Wang Feng asked. Not only have you boarded a pirate ship, but this pirate ship is also a bit crowded. Hulaina blushed and whispered, I'm afraid you won't be able to hold on and the ship will sink. Wang Feng. He suddenly realized that it was quite interesting to talk to Hulaina frankly. I won't be able to hold on? Wang Feng pretended to be angry and said, My ship is a super large luxury ship. Do you think the few of you can't handle it? All I need to do is to gently flip the waves and overturn the seas, and all of you together won't be able to withstand it. As he spoke, Wang Feng gently patted her back. Slap. Hulaina's face turned even redder, but she didn't say anything. Wang Fengxin thought that Lena was still shy. But deep down, she's a little boring. She has great potential. She looked a little like Zhu Qing. Both of them have a boring personality. Wang Feng, I feel like I'm dreaming, Hulaina murmured. She breathed in Wang Feng's scent. This isn't a dream. This is the beginning of everything beautiful. Wang Feng was silent for a moment and then said with a smile. Really? Hulaina raised her head and looked at Wang Feng. Really? Wang Feng nodded. Hearing this, Hulaina gently tiptoed and kissed him. She got what she wanted. Hulaina was satisfied. Wang Feng stayed in the absolute ice domain for a few days and then left. When Zhu Zhuqing was dragged out by Ning Rongrong that day, she more or less knew what was going on. She decided to stay in the shrine. After a few days, the relationship between the three girls became quite good. When Wang Feng left, Zhu Zhuqing wanted to go with Hulaina to search for a divine tablet and explore the continent. Wang Feng was worried about their safety. But after thinking about it with their strength, there weren't many people on this continent who could be their match. Forget it. So far, Wang Feng had settled the matter of Ning Rongrong, Zhu Zhuqing, and Hulaina. He came to the Martial Spirit Alliance and planned to persuade Bibidan. Bibidan's appearance changed the situation of the Martial Spirit Alliance, but she didn't seem to have made any big changes. She just stayed in the Pope's palace and occasionally dealt with the daily affairs. It was as if she was waiting for something. Until Wang Feng came to the Pope's palace in the Martial Spirit City. It had been almost 10 days since the battle that day, and the Martial Spirit City had already restored order. But no one knew what happened that day. Even the titled Douluo didn't know. They could only see the battle between Wang Feng and Qianrenxue, as well as Bibidan. They didn't know what happened after that. They only knew that Wang Feng, as the White Pope Diff, defeated Qianrenxue and Bibidan who had become gods. When he arrived at the Pope's palace, Wang Feng realized that the titled Douluo guarding this place had been waiting for a long time. Lord Pope Diff, you're finally here. The chrysanthemum Douluo had a respectful smile on his face. Have you been waiting for us for a long time? Wang Feng was surprised. Of course, the Pope said that Lord Pope Diff will be here in a few days. The chrysanthemum Douluo replied. Wang Feng. Wang Fengshin's heart skipped a beat. To be honest, among these girls, Bibidan was the most difficult to deal with, even though he had received Bibidan's and Qian Rinchu's promises that day. But Wang Feng was still a little uneasy. After that day, Wang Feng first comforted Zhu Zhuqing, Ning Rongrong, and Hu Laina. Only then did he come here. Wang Feng nodded and walked into the Pope's palace. There was no one in the palace. "Come to my bedroom." An indifferent voice transmission resounded in Wang Feng's sea of consciousness. Wang Feng looked around at the empty hall. In fact, he could sense that there was no one in the entire Pope's palace. There were only a few titled Douluo waiting for him outside the palace. Wang Feng thought for a moment and walked into Bibidan's bedroom through the interior of the Pope's palace. The buildings here were very Western style, just like the ancient castles in his previous life. But it was very spacious. After hesitating for a moment, Wang Feng walked in front of a door. This door was pale white, and there was an image of the martial spirit palace's angel on it. But it had been erased. Wang Feng had never been to Bibidan's bedroom before. Walking in, he saw a simple room without any unnecessary decorations. In the distance, a figure stood quietly outside the window, looking at the martial spirit city in front of the Pope's palace. From here, he could see the Douluo palace opposite. This was the highest place in the Pope's palace. Standing on the window and looking down, he could see the entire martial spirit city. Wang Feng walked over and asked, "Are you looking at the empire you've conquered?" Bibidan. Chapter 1037. Before Wang Feng got close to Bibidan, he suddenly stopped in his tracks, because he just realized that Bibidan was not wearing the gorgeous and solemn robe that symbolized the Pope. Instead, she was wearing a rare, smooth, Western-style pajamas that showed off her figure. It was light purple. "What's wrong? Have you appeased those girls?" Bibidan did not turn around. Her tone was flat, as if she knew everything. At this time, she crossed her arms and leaned against the window sill. She looked a little lazy, but the aura on her body did not weaken at all. "Wang Feng, can you not say it directly?" Wang Feng walked over and recounted what happened that day with the 5 god kings in detail. He did not hide much about the meteoric tear. "You explained it very clearly." Bibidan's expression changed a little. "No wonder you left Martial Spirit City in such a hurry after I left that day. It seems that those girls are very important in your heart." Bibidan turned around and looked at Wang Feng. That face and size made Wang Fengshin's heart skip a beat. That was a kind of noble and mature style, and there was a bit of coldness in her coldness. She exuded an aura of evil and purity that made it hard for people to extricate themselves. "Not as heavy as you," Wang Feng said. Bibidan was stunned. Her eyes moistened and a blush flashed across her cheeks. She looked at Wang Feng with a faint smile. "Is that so? Then why are you only here now? You're the finale. That's why I came last," Wang Feng said without blushing or panting. "Then what? You're not going to Xiao Shui's side?" Bibidan asked again. Wang Feng. This. Wang Feng thought for a moment and said, "I'm here to discuss with you the situation after I was sealed. Answer my question. Don't change the topic." Bibidan said coldly. Wang Feng sighed and said, "I guessed that Xiao Shui would come to the Pope's palace, so I didn't go. Is that so?" Bibidan raised an eyebrow. "Are you so sure?" Wang Feng nodded. "What if she doesn't come?" "She will definitely come," Wang Feng said. "Do you want to make a bet?" "Bet on what?" Bibidan glanced at him. Wang Feng thought for a moment, walked to the front of the Bibidan, and whispered a few words in her ear. After hearing this, Bibidan suddenly blushed. "You wish." Scram. As soon as he finished speaking, Bibidan sneered and said, "Good. If she doesn't come, then what I promised that day will be completely null and void. You have to listen to me? If she comes, I'll fulfill your conditions." No problem, Wang Feng said. The room fell into a temporary silence. An ambiguous atmosphere flowed between the two of them. Bibidon turned around and did not look at Wang Feng. After thinking about it, Wang Feng walked over and hugged the Bibidon from behind. Bibidon's body trembled slightly, but he did not struggle. His ears were as red as blood jade. What? Haven't you hugged your clingy little beauties enough? Bibidon calmed down his undulating chest and said flatly. Enough hugging, Wang Feng said. If you've hugged enough, why don't you let go? Bibidon said lightly. Wang Feng thought for a moment and let go. Seeing this, Bibidon's body trembled. She turned around and looked at him angrily with her beautiful eyes. You'll let go just because I told you to? However, when Bibidon saw the smile on Wang Feng's face, he knew he had been fooled again. Is it fun? Bibidon clenched his hands tightly. He wished he could punch the man in front of him. How is that possible? Wang Feng walked over and hugged the Bibidon from the front again. I know it's hard for you to convince yourself to accept it. But you keep mentioning it, so I can't help it. Bibidon struggled a few times, but he could not break free. Don't struggle. You have to listen to me now. Wang Feng said, Why, as the Pope of the Martial Spirit Palace, it's too much to break your promise twice in a row. Bibidon. Bibidon hugged Wang Feng's waist with both hands and calmed down. Wang Wu, what are we doing now? Bibidon whispered in Wang Feng's ear. This is a fatal question. Wang Fengxin said. I will marry you, Wang Feng replied. What do you think? Don't think about that. As you said, in this world, no one knows you better than I do. Bibidon was silent. Yes, he is the person who knows me the best in this world. He knows everything about me clearly. I still don't understand why you saved me at that time, Bibidon suddenly asked softly. The rare soft voice made Wang Feng's bones loosen a few times. The beauty in his arms is the most powerful and highest woman in this Douluo world. I can't let a person who covets my body die like this. Wang Feng said, You haven't even coveted my body yet. Shameless. Bibidon glared at Wang Feng and sneered. Wang Wu, when you entered the Sea God Island, you didn't have to hide your identity. You have been hiding, is it because you want to scheme against me? Wang Feng. Absolutely not. Bibidon snorted coldly. What did you say to those little beauties? Bibidon asked faintly, like I want to marry you, did you say it one by one? Wang Feng. F***ck. I really can't hide anything from you? So what if I am? Wang Feng was embarrassed and angry after being exposed. Why? Can't I? Do you have to listen to me? Bibidon suddenly smiled. The smile seemed to be able to intoxicate the heavens. That kind of beautiful temperature like melting an iceberg caught Wang Feng a little off guard. My Lord Popetiff, why are you angry? Bibidon said with a faint smile, It's really rare. It's quite rare. Wang Feng suddenly smiled. I didn't know that the High and Mighty His Majesty the Pope would be so proactive and say such words. Now that I think about it, it's really incredible. Bibidon. Bibidon also glared at Wang Feng angrily. When she was resurrected in the Great Star Do Forest, it was indeed the most proactive and bold thing she did in her life. It couldn't be helped, her mood was too complicated at that time. There was the surprise of seeing that Wang Feng was still alive, the shock of being resurrected by Wang Feng, and the love that had spread out unknowingly. Perhaps, when she first entered the Rakshasa's secret realm, the dark side of her heart was completely exposed to Popetiff Wang Wu's observation. That feeling would slowly change. Even Bibidon herself didn't know. Especially when she passed the 8th test. The last man who appeared in her consciousness broke her heart demon. You and those little beauties haven't experienced it yet, right? At this time, Bibidon suddenly said with a smile that was not a smile, The aura on your body is still pure and flawless, even the energy in your body hasn't changed at all. Is it because you can't do it? Hearing this, Wang Feng was immediately angry. I can't do it? I just don't want to. As soon as he finished speaking, Bibi Dong suddenly pushed Wang Feng onto the big bed. What do you want to do? Wang Feng was stunned. Bibi Dong looked down at him, a smile on her face. Of course, I want to be your first woman. Those little beauties of yours are too tender. Why do you dislike me? This body of mine was also created by you. After saying that, Bibi Dong walked towards him. The pajamas on her body became more and more loose, full of momentum, like a high and mighty queen who was about to pamper her male companion. Dislike? Sorry, you have to listen to me. Whether it's on the bed or off the bed. Wang Feng looked at Bibi Dong, who walked in front of him, suddenly got up and pushed her back onto the bed. Bibi Dong was stunned, coldly snorted, and turned her head away with a red face. She didn't resist, but there was a faint affection in her eyes. At this time, a clear and calm voice sounded from outside the Pope's palace. Wang Wu, come out for me. Wang Feng, Bibi Dong. In short, there are only 2 or 3 chapters left in the plot of Douluo. It can be said to be a perfect ending. Chapter 1038. Her calm voice sounded like a clap of thunder. The ambiguous atmosphere in the room quickly disappeared. Wang Feng was a little embarrassed. He expected Qian Rinxue to come because Qian Rinxue could sense him in advance. In the angel fantasy world, after their souls touched, coupled with the connection between martial spirits, Qian Rinxue would definitely know if Wang Feng was slightly close to Martial Spirit City. Therefore, he would definitely know that he went to the Pope Palace first. With Qian Rinxue's character, he would definitely be very unhappy. There was a high probability that he would come to find him, so Wang Feng simply went directly to the Pope Palace. Just that, he didn't expect that he would come at this time. Bibidon's cheeks were red, there was some helplessness and a bit of shame between her eyebrows. She could only sigh in her heart. Xiao Shui was thoroughly understood by this guy. Get out of my way. Bibi Dong scolded softly. Don't you want to go out? Why are you still here? Wang Feng coughed a few times and reminded her. This, you seem to have lost, Bibi Dong. Bibi Dong snorted softly, flipped her hair and stood up. There was still a bit of redness on her face. She didn't answer Wang Feng's words, she just glared at Wang Feng with infinite charm. Wang Feng said, I'll go out and take a look. With that, Wang Feng turned around and walked out of the door. After taking 2 steps, Bibi Dong suddenly hugged Wang Feng from behind. Wang Feng turned around and looked at her. No other meaning. Bibi Dong let go of her hand, a smile flashed across her face and said lightly, Go and see Xiao Shui, there's plenty of time. With that, Bibi Dong stared at Wang Feng, her eyes calm. Wang Feng nodded. At this moment, Bibi Dong suddenly kissed him. Those calm eyes were no longer calm. In less than 3 seconds their lips parted. Bibi Dong pushed Wang Feng away and said in a strange tone, Hurry up and leave. Wang Feng. He felt that this scene was somewhat familiar. Wang Feng thought about it and walked out of the door. It felt a bit strange, but the beauty's lips still felt wonderful. Although it was only a few seconds, the Bibi Dong took the initiative and left a rich aftertaste. After Wang Feng left, a smile appeared on Bibi Dong's face. Wang Feng calmly walked out of Bibidon's bedroom, calming down the ripples in his heart. After tidying up his somewhat messy clothes, he finally arrived outside the Pope's palace. Bibi Dong has dismissed all the people from the Pope's palace. Wang Feng suddenly thought. It was impossible for the pontiff's palace to be empty. At the very least, there were still some cardinals who handled the daily affairs of the continent. Now that the continent was being reorganized, there were naturally many things to do. However, the headquarters wasn't in the pontiff's palace. This place was just a symbol of the Martial Soul Alliance. The headquarters of the Alliance was located in the Martial Spirit main hall of the Martial Spirit City. Wang Feng pushed open the door of the hall and saw Qian Rinxue in a white dress standing in the middle of the square, looking at him coldly. His gaze was like an arrow. It was as if he wanted to pierce Wang Feng's heart with 10,000 arrows. Especially when he saw Wang Feng come out, his face became even colder. Wang Feng coughed a few times. He braced himself and walked over. Xiao Shui. Don't call me Xiao Shui. Qian Rinxue held the sacred sun sword in her hand. Although she didn't release her martial soul, her body contained a ray of light, like the nourishment of the sky. Sacred and holy, beautiful and noble. But the aura around her body was incomparably cold. Even the temperature of the sun could melt it. When you came to the martial spirit city, the first thing you came to is the martial spirit palace. Why are you so anxious to see her? Qian Rinxue stared at Wang Feng. His voice was incomparably cold. Do you men like to play this game? Is she that attractive to you? As he spoke, Qian Rinxue's voice changed from cold to trembling. Obviously, he was angry. Of course not. Wang Feng said seriously. I'm here to discuss with her about the continent after I was sealed. Qian Rinxue was stunned. Sealed? What seal? Like Bibidon, she didn't hear the conversation between Wang Feng and the 5 divine kings. Wang Feng recounted everything that had happened in detail. So, I definitely don't have any other thoughts. Wang Feng coughed a few times. Xiao Shui, you misunderstood me. Hearing this, Qian Rinxue looked at Wang Feng with a faint smile. So, you didn't do anything in there? Of course not. Wang Feng nodded. Oh, then I've wronged you. Wang Feng, I'm sorry. Qian Rinxue looked apologetic as he walked toward Wang Feng. Seeing this, Wang Fengxin heaved a sigh of relief and walked toward Qian Rinxue with a smile. At least he managed to fool him. Seeing Qian Rinxue's apologetic face and smile as he slowly walked toward him, Wang Fengxin said, Don't tell me he's going to hug me again? After thinking for a while, Wang Feng opened his hands slightly. However, at this moment, Qian Rinxue suddenly raised the angelic sword in his hand and slashed toward Wang Feng. He said in a sweet voice, Go to hell, bastard! You didn't do anything in there? Before you lie to me, at least wipe off the rouge on your lips. Do you think I'm a fool? Boom! The gigantic angelic sacred sword slashed down at Wang Feng with frightening momentum. Wang Fengxin was stunned. F***ck. He screwed up. Only then did he remember why Bibidon suddenly took the initiative to kiss him when he was leaving. In a moment of desperation, Wang Feng clenched his hand and quickly grabbed the angelic sword. If the sword really fell, the pontiff's palace would be split in half. There was a loud rumble. A huge force poured down. Wang Feng's body sank. His palm was burned by the golden flames of the angelic sword and sizzled. Because he took the attack without any preparation, Wang Feng didn't activate anything. He took the sword head-on with his physical strength. He still suffered a small loss. Qian Rinxue was stunned. He quickly withdrew the angelic sword and walked toward Wang Feng in a flash. He said anxiously, Why didn't you dodge? She quickly withdrew the golden flames on Wang Feng's body and looked at Wang Feng's slightly charred palm. Because Wang Feng's life force was temporarily sealed, he didn't recover immediately. Fortunately, his body was strong. In a short while, the charred palm recovered to its original state. Aren't you angry? If I dodge, won't you be angrier? Wang Feng said. Anyway, I'm standing here and letting you slash me. You can't kill me anyway. I'll let you vent your anger. Xiao Shui, if you're still angry, come at me a few more times. You. Qian Rinxue looked at Wang Feng and was stunned. Her face was slightly red. She scolded, Do you think I don't dare? I won't feel sorry for you. With that, Qian Rinxue raised the angelic sword in her hand and pointed it at Wang Feng. But this time, it didn't fall. She withdrew the angelic sword and stomped her feet. Wang Fengxin heaved a sigh of relief. Although Qian Rinxue was arrogant and had a temper similar to the Bibidon, she was still young. She wasn't as domineering and imposing as the Bibidon. Wang Feng quickly wiped the rouge on his mouth clean. This Bibidon was too cunning. He was just looking for trouble. Obviously, it was revenge for being interrupted by Qianrenxue. Chapter 1039. Then why didn't you come to me first? Qianrenxue stared at Wang Feng, as if he wanted to get an answer. Hearing this, Wang Feng knew that Qianrenxue was no longer angry. He didn't mention what happened just now. Of course it's because you're the most important person in my heart. Wang Feng said. The most important person, of course, the last one. However, Qianrenxue looked at Wang Feng with disdain. I don't believe you. Did you say the same thing to her just now? Wang Feng, well, whether it was Qianrenxue or Bibidon, they weren't as easy to coax as Rongrong and Zhuqing. Sigh, Rongrong was still the best. I think you knew that I would come to you, so you deliberately went to the Pope's palace first, right? Qianrenxue seemed to have thought of something, and his face turned red. He looked at Wang Feng with shame and anger. You want to satisfy your dirty thoughts? Stop daydreaming, that's still impossible. Wang Feng shook his head helplessly. Xiao Shui, I don't have such dirty thoughts. I knew you would come, so I wanted to tell you something. I'm too lazy to make the trip. Qianrenxue looked at him suspiciously. At this moment, a faint voice sounded in the Pope's palace. He did have something to tell me, but you interrupted him. Bibidon walked out. He spoke up for Wang Feng. Qianrenxue stared at Bibidon. Bibidon had changed into formal attire, and he looked noble and imposing. The crown on his head carried an unparalleled majesty. Since you're both here, I'll tell you all at once. Wang Feng looked at the two of them. It wasn't that he was dirty, he did have something important to tell them. It was about the former secret word and the swordsman's secret word. Wang Feng planned to give these two things to Qianrenxue and Bibidon. These two types of cultivation methods were only one type of secret cultivation method. One was for the mind, while the other was for the body's recovery. This kind of secret technique was extremely troublesome to cultivate and had high requirements. It was also very difficult to comprehend. Wang Feng's success in cultivating the esoteric character was largely due to the influence of the meteoric tear. He had spent more than half a year comprehending the anterior secret. Most importantly, Wang Feng's mental power had already reached a bottleneck before he could comprehend it. At that time, his mind power was in the form of a fog, like a sea of fog. Later on, it slowly condensed into a water droplet. Therefore, Wang Feng guessed that there were certain conditions to cultivate these two techniques. Even though titled Douluo could cultivate, their progress wouldn't be very fast. However, if he was a god, it would be much easier for him to cultivate. However, for a secret technique of this level, each person would have a different comprehension of it. Thus, the results of their cultivation might not be the same as Wang Feng's. Ning Rongrong, Zhu Zhuqing, and the others had yet to ascend to godhood. Before Wang Feng left, he took some of the natural treasures and helped the three women temper their bodies with the red lotus karmic fire to increase their physical strength and potential. After becoming a god, there would be even more room for improvement. But this thing was really tiring, both mentally and psychologically. Because this kind of refinement was usually done naked, they had seen it all. Wang Feng didn't tell them the swordsman and anterior secret for the time being. He was afraid that if they were to cultivate at the last minute, there would be problems, and that would be troublesome. It was safer to cultivate after becoming a god. Wang Feng also believed that after becoming a god, with these two secret techniques to cultivate, it would be of great help to the Qianrenxue and Bibidon's godly positions. In addition to the swordsman's secret, there would be another layer of security. This way, Wang Fengxin also felt a little more at ease. You really have something to do? Bibidon looked at Wang Feng with a little surprise. She was indeed upset because she was interrupted just now, so she wanted to take revenge on Wang Feng a little. She knew everything that happened in the martial spirit hall. Although she was upset, Bibidon still walked out to find a way out for Wang Feng, who knew that he really had something to do. Of course. Wang Feng smiled and explained the two secret techniques. In the coming days, if you have any questions about these two secret techniques, I will answer them one by one. Using the red lotus hellfire to temper the bodies of the three women, he taught the two secret techniques to the Qian Rinxue and Bibidon, who had become gods. This was the last thing Wang Feng could do under the seal. After hearing this, Bibidon and Qian Rinxue were a little confused. This thing was a little foreign to them. If they were little three, they should be able to understand. These two secret techniques were passed down from the world of shrouding the heavens. In itself, they were traditional Eastern secret techniques. Moreover, they were written in classical Chinese. Many of the words were very obscure, and the general idea contained in them was even more difficult to understand. Back then, Wang Feng took a long time to comprehend it before he understood. Even though Qian Rinxue and Bibidon were intelligent people, they could not understand it in a short time. This was the real reason why Wang Feng came to them. He was not someone who really thought with his lower body. How could it be for that kind of thing? This is the first time I've heard of this kind of secret technique, Bibidon said softly. It's related to the recovery of the mind and body, and the improvement of spiritual power. Generally, even gods rely on meditation or the power of faith from the creatures of the lower planes. Wang Feng nodded slightly. Back then, when I was in the sea, I relied on this to survive. Wang Feng said bluntly. Although you are gods, being a god is not the end. You are just a slightly stronger human. For example, the God Realm Committee is in charge of many other worlds and planes. The Douluo world is one of the most powerful ones. Thus, the two of you will be able to greatly increase your strength by cultivating these two secret techniques. The two nodded slightly. Wang Wu, Bibidon suddenly said. Aren't you afraid that when you break out of the seal, I'll be able to defeat you? When I cultivate these two secret techniques, you won't be able to beat me. Wang Feng laughed and said, If I let you go, even if I seal myself for tens of thousands of years and don't cultivate, you won't be able to beat me. Hearing this, Bibidon snorted and did not comment. This kind of secret technique, this world doesn't have it. I'm afraid the God Realm doesn't have it either, Qian Rinxue whispered. She wanted to ask how did he get these things? But the question stopped in her mouth. This secret technique is somewhat interesting. Let me think about it first. Bibidon glanced at the two and walked into the Pope's palace. For a moment, the atmosphere was a little strange. After explaining all this, Wang Feng clearly felt that Qian Rinxue was not as cold as before. Qian Rinxue opened his mouth and looked at Wang Feng. Don't say it, I understand. I don't blame you. Wang Feng coughed a few times. I'm too fickle. Qian Rinxue snorted. You know yourself well. After a while, Qian Rinxue's face was slightly red. He walked in front of Wang Feng and leaned on Wang Feng's shoulder and whispered. Wang Feng, tell me about you and her, right? Wang Feng was stunned. He nodded and was about to speak. Qian Rinxue whispered again, Don't do it here. Go to my bedroom. And hug me. Wang Feng. After thinking for a while, Wang Feng did not hesitate. He directly put his arm around Qian Rinxue's slender waist and went to the elder's palace. They entered Qian Rinxue's bedroom. Wang Feng and Qian Rinxue lay on the bed and slowly told her about him and Bibidon. From the beginning of the competition, being chased by Bibidon in the Pope's palace, to playing the role of the white-clothed Popediff, and a series of other things. He also told her about the Rakshasa's secret realm and the great star Do forest. He talked for a long time. After listening, Qian Rinxue was silent for a long time. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Nights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.